What is up? We are here for the Commentator's Curse live edition, episode 6. Why are you here?
I'm here because I just spent the week in SoCal for E3. The show just ended, and I just took an Uber over here to, see where the magic happens. I didn't know, where Tafo shoots the show. This is like a temporary office space that I use. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I only pay $150 a month.
More people need to know about that. These things exist. You can just like rent out spaces and do stuff like this. That's so sick.
It's amazing, and it's nights and weekends, but literally there's this floor, and then there's like 3 other floors in the other building.
How many hours a week do you get? A month do you get?
I literally, since no one comes at night, I can use this as long as I want. But I can just work in the lobby too if there's other people here.
So that's broken. That's amazing.
It's broken.
That's
like,
crazy.
I'm paying like $2 an hour, maybe.
That's ridiculous. That's actually amazing. You can just live here.
Yeah, I could.
For $150 a month.
Yeah. I have nights and weekends, so my nights and weekends last until 9 in the morning. So technically, if I lived in a car,
you could just live here.
I could just live here. And they have water, they have beer, they have coffee.
Oh, you have to pay for that, I'm assuming.
No.
It's just there?
Well, they just have random free snacks at night.
What?
Yeah.
Yo, okay, we should not have told this to the millions of people watching at home, because I think we just gave out a secret strat that.
Well, they don't know which one we're at.
That's true, but they're gonna just gobble them all up, dude. They're gonna gobble them all up.
All of them don't have a good deal as this. Some other places you have to pay like $550 minimum.
That's probably what NorCal is, because screw NorCal.
Yeah. So good stuff. What are we talking about? We had Smash and Splash last week.
We have a lot going on, but matter of fact, I wanna do.
Oh, let's do story time.
A quick story time.
Do you wanna bring that on?
I will in a second.
All right.
Let me get to it. So, obviously, I just had E3. Spent the time with our good friends. There's a lot of actually Smashers there. There was like Sesh, there was Gimmer, of course D1, the Cat. EE, Keitaro. There was actually a ton of Smash there. We were all hanging out, checked out a whole bunch of stuff. So I had to get here, and I Ubered here from my hotel to here on the way, and so I went to my Uber, and just got into the car and told him, yeah, I'm going to this address, right? And he's like, oh, that's cool. You know what's near there? And he said. I was like, I don't know. He's like, oh, there's a Scientology church there, and I was like, well, okay, that's cool. Fun fact, that's just one of those things that people talk about, and we got to talking. And I love to talk to my Uber drivers because I'm a very personable person.
Yeah. And
I love to see their side of the world. Start talking about me, talking about esports. Gotta talk about me first. So we get going. Great guy, honestly, upstanding guy. We talked about esports for a solid 10 minutes. This drive is like 40 minutes long because of SoCal traffic. Oof. And then the last 30 minutes, after he's got me all lathered up, worked up, so there's a good conversational discourse going on.
Yeah.
I got 30 minutes. 30 minutes, guys. 30 minutes.
Can you read that to them just in case they can't see the glare?
This is Dianetics DVD. 30 minutes of Scientology talk, guys. I was hit with the pitch of the century. Obviously, I just got talking about how important I am, how much of a voice to the people I am, how many people watch me, how I'm about to go on a show to speak the good gospel. Of Melee. But he wanted me to speak a different gospel. So, just so you guys know, 30 minutes, this guy, I feel bad because he spent 30 minutes pitching this, so I feel like I have to advertise a little bit, right?
Well, let's put it this way.
L. Ron Hubbard.
We have so there's going to be thousands of people watching it, so even if you do it for 1 second, that's 1 second times 1,000.
Yeah, so he's got his money's worth. As a matter of fact, I was paying him to do that because I was in an Uber, right?
Yeah. So I think I think he's satisfied.
Yeah, so we talked about, honestly, I don't actually know enough about Scientology to talk a lot of mess, but I even after 30 minutes, it honestly sounded like gibberish to me. It was like true self, there was a lot going on. There was levels, and I didn't really understand it.
The only context I have of Scientology is being moderately drunk watching a South Park episode on Scientology, and that's my only background in.
Yeah, the humor stuff is awesome. So No, there's been a lot of parodies about Scientology in the past, so I'm not gonna hate. I've heard things that don't sound favorable, but I'm not gonna say them because I've also heard that they persecute people who talk about that negatively, and I can't afford that. All I want to do is play Melee.
Yeah.
So I don't need to make enemies here.
Yeah, fair enough.
So that was the last 30 minutes of my life before I got here, and I'm hoping it was worth it because we're gonna have a really good show.
Yeah, I agree. Thanks for coming out.
Absolutely.
You took an Uber here, which hopefully you can get reimbursed somehow.
No, I can't.
Awesome. So we got a good show for you. We had quite a couple events that were pretty interesting.
Yeah, really interesting ones. We had a Smash and Splash last weekend. What else was this last weekend?
We had a Mayhem too.
Right, you're right. There was a Mayhem.
And then I feel like there is like one or two others that have happened last weekend that I can't put my... Well, you know how we can find out?
How can we find out, Tafikins?
We go to When's Melee, which is featured on Melee It On Me.
Great website.
The good people, FLWNS, and Dingus Master run it every week, and you can get it on MeleeItOnMe.com. And as I look on my phone shamelessly, I see that the Warriors are down by 21, and I'm going to be miserable tonight.
You're going to be alright. They're going to win Game 7.
They're going to win Game 7, hopefully. Let's see. There's a Mayhem.
There's a Mayhem. There's Qatar.
Weren't West Bulls...
There was pretty much Mayhem.
West Bulls...
Oh, there was Prime. That was the VGB Cam event. I watched that as well.
Was that the Arcadian stuff?
No. That was just like a local. It's like kind of like Glitch, but for Melee. It's in Xanadu still, but it's like a weekend Xanadu event.
Okay. Well, I don't see him here for some reason.
It's on the Sunday one. Wow. Oh, and there was...
That was last week. No, that was 2 weekends ago.
Oh, that's 2 weekends ago. Yeah. RB, that's last weekend's results. You're right.
Okay, so Smash and Splash 2.
Smash and Splash is pretty much the one. You're right.
Yeah.
So, okay, so there's Smash and Splash, and upcoming next weekend is actually, we have a crazy weekend. So we have 4 major events. We have Apex.
Yep.
DreamHack, Summer, LTC, and we have SSS, which I'm going to be at. I'd like to give a shout out to my own tournament.
I'm going to be at SSS too.
That's going to be tight. I'm going to try to commentate like 10 hours. I'm just going to... for old time's sake, I've done it for like 6 months. I'm really excited to go and do it again.
I'm going to go and commentate too.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Nice. So, the big one, though, of those 4... Well, I guess both DreamHack and LTC both have like a lot of big hitters.
Yeah.
But,
Apex is probably more of a Smash 4 event, and
right.
minorly like Smash 64.
Right. But LTC has a ton of names, and DreamHack Summer has Armada and Leffen.
Yeah.
So, a lot of Melee, actually. Your Sunday this weekend is going to be packed if you're a Melee fan, because you're pretty much going to get top 8 after top 8, right? If you just look at the time zones overlap super well.
Yeah.
You're going to get, your European time zone grand finals with Armada Leffen. Then that's going to head into, with a few hours of time in between, you're going to have the Apex top 8, which is going to be like Moon, DJ, and
you can watch Muta King beat the Moon or DJ Nintendo grand finals.
You could watch that. You could also watch to see who gets second place, because that could be interesting.
Yeah.
And watch, just the general dynamic. I think like Mafia and a few others are going to.
Yeah. And I think some local people, J-Flex.
Yeah, so
I think J-Flex is like the 5th seed in that tournament.
Is he really?
Yeah.
All right, Apex. So and after that, we have LTC, because that's Central Time Zone.
Yeah.
And that's going to have Mango, Hungrybox. Actually, the name that tournament's like stupid stacked. So you should be watching like the whole top 32 of that. That'll just be happening. And then we'll close out probably with the top 8 of SSS for the night. So that's like a crazy awesome Smash Sunday to watch. So
it's a super Smash Sunday to watch.
Some might say. So
yes.
So that's a lot of Melee. There's also Rubicon, I think, and I think Hugs is going.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, Hugs is going to that. So really packed weekend.
It's going to be pretty insane, and I think, other than the Lucid PPMD, we see the top 6 in some way, shape, or form this weekend.
Yeah, every single one's now they're at different locations. They kind of split up their talents, but that you're gonna be watching their gameplay regardless. That's super cool.
Yeah, and I'm really excited because, for most part, we're expected to see Armada Leffen. I'm really eager to see that. More than likely, we're going to see another Mega Hungry Box.
Right.
And so those are matches that will give us kind of a comfortable feel going to CEO. I imagine. Leffen always kind of starts the pre-John Fest of, oh my gosh, I haven't been practicing, but it kind of is quite telling to see like how they perform at those events.
Right. I think that even with all that being said, I think DreamHack is where I'm personally most interested in, because after I get on my level, I really want another data point for Leffen. I want to know where this guy's at. For all we know, he's the best player in the world. For all we know, get on my level was a fluke. Everyone played bad. Whatever happened, who knows? I think DreamHack is absolutely. If you're going to watch one tournament or one set of this weekend,
Sets possibly,
or sets potentially. It'd be Armada versus Leffen. That's Swedish East Coast versus West Coast rivalry. We've had a lot of DreamHacks up to this point, and we should talk about how them as an organizer, they've been, and now it's been getting good event after good event. First it was London, then Winter, Austin, and now DreamHack Summer. We're gonna of course have the Winter one later, and also Montreal.
Yeah.
That in a span of like a year and a half, that's 6 DreamHack events.
Yeah.
And it feels like it just all hit us all at once. It just all happened at once.
And I really like the fact that DreamHack is running it because, I love the Smash events, but I also like the cross-pollination where the other games can really like kind of glance over at us and see like what Smash is about. And I think we get a lot of exposure in like the lateral kind of esports world. Right.
And you know what? Personally, I'm hoping is that their organizers, because I think Montreal is going to be a pretty down one, just because of it's the same weekend as Super Smash Con.
Yeah.
Summer is pretty good. It's not like a super down one, but I don't think it will hit the same marks as the previous 3 had.
Yeah.
I hope they understand that this was kind of both those events, Montreal and this summer, sort of hit poorly on the Smash calendar. So they'll take it in stride and sort of. We'll be looking forward to Winter, which I think is going to be probably the biggest European event of the year.
Yeah.
Actually, undoubtedly, right? So.
Yeah. Can't really think of much other than Beast. And, even though the viewership might not be as hype, but the Smashers always bring in the energy.
Yeah.
So I don't doubt that even in Canada, like the Canadians will come in full force and be really excited. Right. So really excited for them. Let's talk last weekend. Smash. We'll start off with the smaller tournament in Mayhem. It was pretty interesting because we had a little bit of NorCal come in. We had Diskit Boogie, Daryl, Azusa come in to compete with us.
Can we talk about Daryl for a second?
Yeah.
So Daryl's an interesting case. I've kind of known for a while that sure he stopped playing for a little bit, but he's the kind of guy that you just know that he never really stopped playing because for any reason that would stick, as in I expect him to come back.
Yeah.
And see him back, that's really cool. That adds to like the little wave of Samus that we've got going on. He's routinely been a top 40 player in the world with Samus, through his career. I'm really curious to see how he does now. And actually, what I'm more curious about is how his personality adapts to the new age of Smash. Right?
It didn't fare too well in the Scar and Toph show.
Can you imagine Daryl signing an autograph?
He's like, no.
He would never do. Actually, I think he might just like insult the person who does. He might even hit them. He's just not that kind of guy, guys. So
I think there's levels though, right? If there's like a 22-year-old guy that's fanboying him, he's like, no. But if it's like a little kid, I think he has like some empathy to like maybe do it and think like.
I'm not sure, dude. He will teach that kid a lesson. Is my.
I mean, if he played friendlies, he has no mercy. But if a kid's like asking for an autograph with his mom, I think he has.
With the mom, he'll definitely do it.
Yeah.
I guarantee you. Okay, with the mom, he'll do it. He's a great guy, but this is how his humor goes.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see Daryl back. Azusa as a player. If we're gonna quickly cover him, I thought maybe a little over a year back that he was arguably, the player to watch out for. He was rising the ranks really quickly. I think he peaked at like 5th on the NorCal Power Ranking.
Yeah.
That's amazing, guys. 5th on the NorCal Power Ranking, and like the year before that, he wasn't even in the top 10. He was like 15th, like almost 20th.
Yeah.
So going from the outskirts of it, going straight to number 5, and like taking sets off the top 4. throughout that time. Saw him as a player to watch out for. We haven't heard much from him since. But hey, he goes to another tournament in Mayhem. That's nice to see.
Yeah. It was a little bit of a... I mean, he's a player that I think really kind of rose up in my year at Berkeley because he used to come over a lot.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, like, I beat him every game, and it wasn't really much of a contest. 2-stock. And then, like, a year later at Pat's house, like, he 3-0'd me.
Yeah.
And so, really motivated, really, like, a player that really wants to be really precise and really practices a lot. I think a lot of the reason why he kind of stopped playing was because of school and other priorities coming up.
The classic.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he didn't really have much of a bracket run. I don't remember what he did in winners. He lost to Psycho Midget.
And NorCal didn't do very much at Mayhem, but we'll get that in a second. I'm curious. When Azusa beat you at Pat's house, socially, what was the experience? Because, you know, I've had a few players pass me up in my day. You know, like people who started after me, and I've always felt like, for me, it's actually I'm usually the happiest. I'm usually happier than they are almost.
Yeah.
Unless they're super happy. If they're super happy, then I'm not happy about it, right? But like if we're homies and I see that hey they got better and I kind of know I deserved it because I'm not actually trying. Like I'm not working to get better. To see their hard work kind of finally, you know, come in place. That usually makes me pretty happy. I'm usually pretty happy about it. But I always feel that after it happens, like the first time they beat you, there's this like stillness in the air where you're just kind of looking at each other awkwardly, and then you guys shake, and then he walks away and he's like, what just happened?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, all right, well, he's good now. That's cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've been watching him, and, you know, when Bob Money, you know, old school NorCal legend, used to run Smash Fest, you know, I would see him just working at it in matches, and he'd have, like, an angry frustration to him. He's like, I don't get why this works. We're going to keep replaying. Kind of like Mewtwo King in some aspects. He's like, if something he doesn't really figure out, he has a new situation, he demands that you repeat it, and it's the same way with the Zuza. So, like, over the year, like, I knew that he was working really hard, and I think, like, at a Berkeley tournament where it was just, like, Berkeley kids in surrounding areas, like, kind of like their Golden Bears, like, I won the tournament, but Azusa took me to Game 5.
Yeah.
And so I already knew that, like, okay, if he keeps this up, like, he's going to beat me, and I'm not going to be terribly surprised. So I was actually happy for him, and it was funny because at Pat's house, too, I was anticipating playing Okami, because Okami and Azusa were going to play into me. And I was like, oh, God, like, I hate playing Okami. So I already mentally...
And this is the era where this is probably peak Okami. This is when he was at his peak of his skill.
Like, I did not want to play him when Sheik did it, so, like, I just told the guy, like, if I have to play Okami, which is probably going to happen, I'm just going to go commentate and forfeit my match. Because I'd rather just commentate. Really? Wow. And then, like, the guy came up to me and said, oh, you have to play Azusa. And I was like, oh, wait, what? And then I played Azusa and I got 3-0. So, you know, kudos to them. You know, Johnny, another example where I 3-stocked him, like, every game in a UCLA tournament. And in a year after going to Dunk's house every day, like, he started 3-stocking me, and then I had to catch up. So... it's a little weird, but you know, I know that they worked hard, so I'm not like super angry or anything.
Yeah, I think there are some old players who do get angry about it.
I did get,
and that's where the awkwardness.
I did get a little tilted though. I have to tell a story for the stream. So, losers, you know, like I'm mentally tired, and like I play a set against Krager. Shout out to Krager, who's a Fox main from Santa Barbara, getting really good. I think he may have been my K's also in losers, so like. My loss doesn't feel as bad. I'm gonna double check the rack.
Did he beat Mike Hayes?
No, okay,
it was 2-1. It was 2-1.
So I play. You know, he's plays Saka, so I figured he knows the matchup pretty well. And like I'm just like mentally tired, and then I lose, and then after I lose, like I'm like kind of upset that I lost to him. Goes up to me and says, hey, like that was a good set. Like, what can I do? Oh. And then not only that, he tells me what can I do to be better against you. After he
Krager, that's not cool. Krager, save that comment and actually just save it and never use it. Just throw it away. I take it. Just do nothing with that.
How can I do better against the person that you just beat? And so I posted on Twitter, and this one guy just kept saying like. He like resonated with Krager more than me, and like didn't understand why I would be upset about that. And so
that guy's probably never competed.
That's what I'm assuming. But like, and so when I get losses like that, where like I know they're happy, but like don't have the social awareness to like not ask those questions. Yeah. I think that put me on tilt for like a good like 20 minutes. But I'm happy for him. Craiger's also working hard, but just the way it all conspired, it was just like, oh, like.
So, I think the way a player, I feel like more than anything, I kind of look at for other players. The way to know if a player is done, as in if either they need a break or they need to figure something out, is when, or maybe they can never figure it out after this point, I'm not sure, is when losses roll off them like nothing, right?
Yeah.
So, like, let's say you lose a set, and then you don't really feel anything, and, like, the pain is gone after, like, maybe 5 seconds max. You're just like, and then you walk away. That's usually, to me, a sign that, oh, this player just doesn't have competitive driving.
Well, I think it depends on levels too, right? Like,
right.
If I play Armada, right, like that loss is gonna roll off me because I know in my head, like, I had no chance of like beating him.
Right.
But if it's a person, like, I think it also depends on how low on the rankings they are.
Yeah.
Like, if it gets to a certain point where it's like, oh, like a former top 20 player loses to like a top 100 player and doesn't care, then that's when you start having issues.
Then you're like, wow, what's going on, right?
And you start handing wins to randoms all the time.
Yeah, and I think that's part of why, some of these skill tiers can sometimes be a self-fulfilling prophecy, is because if you are at a ranking where, you're going against Armada and you have no chance, you're going into it knowing that this loss won't hurt you very much.
Yeah.
And sometimes people play best with their backs to the corner with a survivalist instinct, where they're playing to not have that horrible feeling of loss, right? And that can fuel people. So when they don't have that motivating them, you can see them playing worse than their average. Now, they probably wouldn't win regardless, but they do better.
Yeah, well, but it also works the other way, right? Like, it's like, oh my gosh, I might win. Oh, I might actually win, and then they lose. Then they can Charlie Brown it.
Yeah. So I'm not sure which side has it worse. Because I think there's a side of, like, let's say Armada. Let's say Armada's down 0-2 against a new guy, right?
Yeah.
He is super nervous. He's probably more nervous during that set than he would be against Mango, right? Because if he loses to Mango, it's like he'll walk away like, okay, I lost to one of the greatest players of all time. Now he's gonna be super pissed about it, but he won't be nearly as pissed as he lost to that new guy, right? Yeah. Obviously. And on the other side of it, there is the new guy who has every history going against him, so he knows that this loss wouldn't be a blemish on his record.
Yeah.
And he also has, oh my god, I might beat Armada. So I think the mental game in that particular mismatch is some of the most interesting.
I mean, that's where we get all the spaghettis, right?
Yeah, it's usually the worst melee. Both sides, even the good player, the quote unquote top level player, the Armada scenario, they probably will play the worst they've ever played in that scenario.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for the new guy to know that. Right, and that's usually a calming thought, right?
Yeah.
Is that they're as nervous as you are, even though they have that much experience. They're still really nervous in that scenario. Could be the worst result of their career, right? So,
it's a really hard scenario to picture because I think a better example would probably be Muti King, because like I just can't visualize Armada like losing.
Well, he did lose at Summit. What do you mean?
Armada
lost to Muti King.
No, like in a random, like against a random.
Oh yeah.
Like it's a really hard image to visualize. I imagine that could happen, but like it's easier for me to picture like a Muti King with his back against the wall and like the crowd against him.
That'd be very bad. And you know what? This leads perfectly into our Smash and Splash talk. The set I wanted to highlight the most was actually the two sets I want to talk about the most are Wizrobe versus Muti King and SFAT versus Hungrybox. So I think everything we just described right now in terms of the mental game was on full display in both of those sets.
Which one do you want to get first?
So let's talk about SFAT versus Hungrybox since it wasn't winners. I watched that set and I felt like that was some of the worst Hungrybox play I've seen in a very long time. He even reset his controller during it. Something was going on. It was weird, right? He got a lot of gimps on SFAT. SFAT just kept on doing double jump backside B. Never really mixed up his recovery. We see players like Mango at least make it back sometimes against Hungrybox. But in terms of the neutral game, SFAT was playing really well. He got a bunch of up tilts near the center that were eye-opening. Like, whoa.
Those were left and up tilts.
Those were left and up tilts, right? So he got the stage positioning game going on. He was playing a long dash dance that was working out really well. Did a few full hop approaches, did back airs. Everything was, he had his thing going on. His lasers were going on. SFAT was playing well. He was even up 2 stocks to 1 in the last stock of Game 5. So all he had to do was clutch it out. He had 2 full stocks to get a grab up throw up air. Up throw up airs, which he was getting at a high frequency throughout the set. And yet, Hungry Box still manages to win.
Yeah. And Kirby Kaze told me this, what was it, about MLG season 2014?
Yeah.
He said, like, SFAT's, like, amazing, but, like, he can't hold a lead. And the reason why he told me that was because SFAT's, like, the best at his mix-up, you know, pseudo-aggressive game.
Yeah.
But when he plays blatantly, you know, campy and defensive, like, he doesn't actually have a game plan for the hit.
Yeah.
And when he gets to that point where he's switching game plans, like, okay, like, I just don't need to mess up, like, and I just gotta, like, wait it out. Like, that's not a good game plan against Hungry Box, who's just not gonna mess up at that point, and he's gonna focus.
Right. And I think that, so if you're a believer in variance, you just look at that match, you're like, oh, of course SFAT, quote unquote, could have won. But in my mind, and, you know, having observed these things for a long time, I'm not so sure, actually. I think you look at press start, and he had an even bigger lead, and yet this happened regardless, right?
Yeah.
And the way I see it sometimes is that even though it was a 3-2 win for Hungry Box, that same thing might happen again.
Yeah.
You know, and again, and again, where they get clutched out. It's like Armada versus Mewtwo for years, right? Sure, it was a game 5, but you know, Armada won every single time.
Yeah. And I mean, it kind of reminds me of, you know, when you play a friendly against, like, a person that's, like, clearly a level below you.
Yeah.
Like, they can bring it close, like, every game and just somehow find a way to lose every game. Or, like, I guess the better player finds a way to win. And I just think it comes to just, like, raw knowledge and just understanding situation just a tad better in every way possible.
Right, and everyone's done it before, right? You're against a player worse than you, and then you kind of turn it on, and then the game's over, right? That happens. I'm not going to go far enough and say that, you know, that necessarily that's what Acebox did against SFAT, but I think it's a contributing factor for why he's clutching it against them, right?
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, in those situations where SFAT has to go simple, as Kirby Kaze mentioned, it can, you know, it can be rough for him to find his hits.
Yeah,
So.
and it just seemed like you know, like I mentioned earlier, he was relying on Hungry Box to make a big mistake, and like Hungry Box, I think, realized, like, hey, like, I just got to play my game, nothing too outlandish, and, like, I can find a gimp, and that's pretty much what he did.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was a big set. The other set I want to point out was Wizrow versus Mewtwo King. And that was a set where Wizrow went up 2-0, even beating Mewtwo King on Fountain of Dreams.
Yeah.
Pretty convincingly. And then lost 3 straight against Mewtwo King. Losers Mewtwo King. I was watching this tournament, I was like, okay, Mewtwo King's in losers, and he's against Wizrow. I think this was losers, right?
It was...
yes, I think...
because he lost to Swedish in winners, and then
you're right, it was losers. So Swedish in winners, we'll get to Swedish in a second. And then he was going against Wizrow, and the storyline of the year for Mewtwo King has been, in losers bracket, he's a dead man. You know, it's like, you could go to the loser bracket, one of the worst people you could play against is Wizrow, because the guy who has enough skill and is up and coming, who's not going to make it easy for him, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to be a player who'll just lay down for Mewtwo King and be like, well, I got the bad side of the bracket this time. I got Mewtwo King, what am I supposed to do? He played against Wizrow, who was super hungry for it, took him down 2-0, and somehow, against all odds, Mewtwo King brought it back. I actually think the crowd had something to do with it. They were cheering for Mewtwo King in a very, like, when he's the favorite.
Yeah. It's very interesting that you mentioned that, because Mewtwo King is commented all the time, like especially when he gets a negative crowd, like it gets to his head, he'll tweet out about it.
Yeah.
And so I think it doesn't really encourage him, but it kind of helps stew away the negative thoughts.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean by that?
Yeah. Like, I think for any player, getting cheered for helps. Sometimes it adds pressure because you're like, oh wow, they want me to win. Let me make them happy, right?
Yeah.
So it does add a little bit of pressure, but for the most part, it's a rallying cry. Like, it makes you believe in yourself a little bit more, and it felt like that cheer was like the switch, right? Everything switched from that point forward. Wizrow, I think it's got to be super disappointing because he had Mewtwo King right where he wanted him.
Yeah.
And he could have made a very long run in that losers bracket after that.
I think if we're to look at game plans, we talked about SFAT, you know, going a little bit more conservative. I thought what happened towards the end of the set was Wizrow making a lot of questionable approaches and plays where he was panic short hopping across the stage and like trying to knee and then getting stuck by forward tilt repeatedly into combo. And so, I think I give kudos to King a lot for, staying composed, and I think that's part of it. But I also thought that Wizrobe abandoned what he should be doing against Sheik and dash dancing, playing the Nun game where you dash dance outside of forward tilt, bait dash attacks, bait rolls. Instead of Wizrobe baiting, he was just trying to go in and try to force a hit, and that's not going to work against King.
Right. Another thing to point out about that set is that Game 3, when he was down 0-2, King actually suicided his stock.
Yeah.
He did the homie stock. Something I absolutely abhor. I don't like it, but players do it, so regardless, it happens. What I hate more is when people boo someone for not homie stocking. I've seen that happen, and I'm just like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Reason why I don't like it, chat. People ask this all the time. Why do commentators? Why do certain people hate it? Isn't it honorable? Blah blah blah. Reason I dislike it is that if someone ever did that to me, it would make me feel horrible.
Yeah.
Right? So if, let's say I SD and then they SD for me, then if I win, well, my opponent did a homie stock and I didn't really deserve it. And if I lose, then
you're the guy that
lost despite them giving me a free stock, right? So like there's the other person doesn't feel good about it. Like the whole point of being a homie is to make your friend feel good, right? It's like the equivalent exchange, but yeah. I'm not a big fan of it. I also think that when you're watching it as a spectator, especially when it's the first stock, like let's say someone SDs in the first 5 seconds of the match, don't make it a 3-stock match. If you want to reset the game and replay that freaking game 4 stock to 4, I might even be okay with that.
Yeah,
you know,
I'm okay with
I like that far more than making it a 3-stock match where everyone's just like, well, we just lost a stock of gameplay that we wanted to watch. You know,
I agree, and like, I mean, they're playing for money, and there's a lot on stake, and I think it just should be proper etiquette that either you start the game from the beginning or you just play on it, because I think that's the equalizer. You play a technical character, like, and you SD, like, I think, that
don't
comes
SD, homie.
That comes with the character.
Yeah, just don't SD. Like,
even though it was Sheik this time,
it's part of being good, right? So, and it's all very subjective, right? It's like what warrants a homie stock, what doesn't. Like if they double jump and hit their head on battlefield, under the ledge, does that count? Because they were already under the stage. You could have just edgeguard or gimped them. What counts, right? And it's all semantics. I don't like it. I also don't like neutral start. All this homie stuff that everyone's trying to do. Play the rules, man. We got rules for a reason.
Well, 20XX could solve the neutral start, right?
It's another topic. Smash and Splash. They use 20XX TE, and apparently it worked well. So,
would you run a national with it?
No, I wouldn't run anything with Modern Melee. I'm not wholly convinced that it's stable. They say it's stable, but even without that, like, I just don't see the point. Like, I genuinely am like, okay, we could free stadium. I don't know if that's good. That probably makes the game less accessible to a new player, right? Because now they have to hack the game to play the game. Melee's already pretty inaccessible, so I'm not sure how that affects things. I mean, honestly, if we're being 100% honest, most new players I feel like are playing through Dolphin or hacked ways because I don't know how they're finding discs nowadays. I don't know how new players are playing the game.
GameStop restocked.
Did they?
Yeah.
That's amazing. They need to start printing more copies, man.
Yeah.
I bet they're selling like hotcakes. That's probably the only thing people are buying from GameStops anymore.
It's
like,
$50 just for this disc, though.
It's worth. That's the best $50 you'll ever spend in your life.
Yeah.
So.
I think from a per hour standpoint, it's definitely been like a penny an hour of entertainment for me.
Right, which just goes to show how poorly video games have been monetized through the years and why they've gone free to play and just how much money Melee HD would make.
Yeah.
But dropping that for a second.
I mean, you were at E3, Nintendo was there. Anyway, so I think we've been. This has kind of been underlying around our conversation, but Swedish Delight.
Swedish, dude, he's way too good.
Yeah.
I want to give ourselves some credit because last year we were asked to pick our up and coming players I think, no, 2 years, it was like a year and a half ago we picked Plup, right?
Yeah.
We were just like, Plup, ever since it switched to Sheik. And we said this like a month into Plup's switch to Sheik.
Yeah.
This was like, we were just like, no, this guy's too good. It's going to be out of control. It's going to be fire. He's too talented. And the whole Sam and Sheik dynamic, as we've seen, has been a lot. Swedish also last year, we were like, this guy, he's also too good, right?
Since like a little bit around like Smash Summit. No, even way before that.
Before that.
Yeah.
The players have been saying going to get better. Swedish and Plup. Dude, Swedish. The words might come out of my mouth. Is he a top 15 player?
It's. I mean, so spoiler. We are. I'm writing a Red Bull Power Rankings article. Power Rankings, mind you.
Power Rankings.
So it's more reflective of recent results over like kind of like a year aggregate total. It's really hard to not argue. Argue against it because ever since Genesis 3, I don't know if he's had a bad performance.
So at this point, I think it's safe to say he's top 20.
Yeah,
I think it'd be very difficult to argue against that.
Yeah.
Top 15, hard to argue, much harder.
I don't think it's hard to argue.
Harder to argue.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
Harder to argue, but he might be. He just might be. And I think the test I like to give is you put two names next to each other who would be his competition for those placings, and you say, who do you think would win? Nintendo versus Swedish Delight. Who do you have to win in a bracket set?
Well, Swedish just 3-0'd him.
Swedish has a peach, probably Swedish. MacD versus Swedish Delight. Who do you have to win?
That's coin flippy.
You think it's coin flippy?
I think so.
It might be.
MacD's pretty good against Sheik. And I'm not sure how good Swedish is good against Sheik. Or against Peach. I would say it's 50-50.
No, I still would say I would take Swedish. I'm gonna be real.
You can take Swedish.
Actually, you might be right. I would say 60-40 Swedish.
I think it's close.
It's closer. It's closer than I don't want to make it out like that, right? So okay, let's bring up names.
But even going 50-50 against a top 15 player indicates that
you're in that level,
yeah.
right?
SJ,
SJ, I would probably take Swedish.
And he won.
He won. West Balls.
I
would take Swedish.
Easily Swedish at this
point.
point.
I would easily Swedish at this point.
Shroomed would be an interesting one.
Shroomed. Swedish has been good in the Sheik. He beat Mutaking.
Yeah.
So, like,
and he beat
twice.
Him in chain grabs, and I think a lot of people who are advocating like, oh, Swedish only won doing chain grabs. Mutaking is a guy that built his game around grabs, and he's one of the best grabbers in the game. So,
I'm not sure you want to play the chain grab game against Mutaking.
The more I think about it, if you're proficient and can nail it, then I don't think it greatly increases the variance because you can potentially win off 4 grabs. But Mutaking is phenomenal at chain grabs, and that's why Swedish tried to do it last year, and he got 6-1.
But I think everyone's complaining about audio problems. Mic is low. What happened? What's going on? Can you guys hear us? No.
Hi.
You guys hear us?
How did it do that? Oh, I think we're back to 1. Can we hear? Can
you hear us?
2. I'm doing it on setting 2, guys. How did we?
Y'all went super quiet. Are we good now?
Okay, let's try 1. Okay, that was. All right, we're gonna try setting 1.
Barely, still old mic.
I think what happened is it may have unplugged. Let me just look at the general settings. Hello. Hi. There we go.
Is it better? You think so?
Hi.
Oh.
Alright.
They say go to 2.
Alright.
Go to 2.
I'm a Sheik man. 2.
I feel like your USB on your laptop must be messed up. I think that's like the core issue behind every issue ever.
Hi. 2.
They're giving us hey guys because you're saying hi. Guys.
Alright. 2.
Okay, they're saying it's good. It's good.
So we're on Swedish. Okay, if you're gonna,
let's actually keep it close.
I mean, I think the interesting point you bring up then is if I don't know how Swedish Shroom would go. I mean, if it was chain grabs, I would be more inclined to give it to Swedish.
First of all, there's gonna be chain grabs because Swedish is gonna do chain grabs.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's an if there.
Yeah.
Shroom is really good at the Ditto too.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't hold it out, but I do think it's kind of coin flippy.
I think
Probably slight Shroom because I still don't like Shroom, right? Like it's got to be still his favorite now.
I think Sheik.
It's not like he hasn't beaten Mewtwo King too.
I mean, Sheik Dittos are like one of the most. It's one of the most 50-50 matchups, like where you're gonna have a high overall skill level, like gap, and Sheik Dittos will always flip around. Not to like make fun of Swedish or anything, but I think it's really hard to kind of show that you're significantly better than the Sheik Ditto. It's really hard.
Yeah.
Like I could see him, taking sets off of Club, Mewtwo King, Shroomed.
Yeah.
And those are all top 10 level players.
Yeah, the Sheik Dittos, they go back and forth, right? So
I mean, and I would have to imagine that he could do decent against Axe.
And it's actually interesting because for Mewtwo King side of things, for the longest time, sort of like the Marth Ditto, people have been saying that Mewtwo King's unbeatable in the Sheik Ditto, right? For years, it was Mewtwo King can't be beaten in Marth Dittos. Mewtwo King can't be beaten in Marth Dittos until PPMD did it.
Yeah.
And then
Shroom.
And then Shroom took out Mewtwo King and Sheik Dittos, and now a few other Sheiks have done it.
Yeah.
And Plup and Swedish. So, like the vaunted matchups that like Mewtwo King was untouchable in, they've kind of corroded in time. In fact, Marth Fox also is corroded in time. His Marth matchup against Spacies used to be basically unbeatable. There was like a 5-year streak where he just didn't lose to Foxes. Like that's a real thing, right? It was actually a big reason why up until 2013, no one talks about this, but Solo Fox hadn't won a major until 2013, right? That's actually a Melee truism, right? So you talk about 12 years into the game, arguably the best character in the game, hadn't won. I think Mewtwo King had a lot to do with it because he just wouldn't lose to Fox, right? For an extended period of time. I think it's worrying if you're a Mewtwo King fan that the matchups that he is most proficient in, his win rates are going down, right? They're no longer near 90+%.
But I mean that's kind of to be expected, right? I mean Mewtwo King, diverges his time into Smash 4. He's going to every event, and it's about to happen that when you add years to the game, that eventually everyone else is going to catch up.
No Deal says Blur is making up BS. When has Mewtwo King there been a 5-year streak of Mewtwo King beating Foxes? Bro, that's very true. From 2007 until like 2012ish, like there was a
I mean, I guess maybe like one PC Chris event. OC3.
Maybe did he beat him with Fox?
I don't think PC went Falco at that point. I think
that was probably so. Okay, from then until.
And I think J-Man may have taken like one.
Did J-Man take one? I'm
J-Man
not sure.
may have like taken like one set.
Maybe.
Like at a local, but then again, like they played 50.
500, yeah, like a million times.
Like if you go like 1 in 49, like I kind of disregard the one.
You could argue the ROM Ryan Ford set, but that was a weird set where like they had to redo a game. Like everything was weird, right?
Yeah, I don't even know what year.
And that year that was still pretty late. That was like 2012 or something, right?
That was like 2012 because that's what started me on.
Yeah. So yeah, basically, effectively, whether we're missing a set or not, it was basically a very, very long streak.
And then Mango would do it with Falco for the longest time.
Yeah, Mango wouldn't do Fox. He was pure Falco against Mewtwo King.
Yeah.
Because that's like the matchup that Mewtwo King complained about.
Yeah.
And he would just lose to Mango. He would just lose to Mango and Pee-Pee. That was like his tournaments. So, No Dial, get out of here.
Nah, he's a chill dude.
He's a chill dude.
We need
Okay.
We need them to hold us accountable because like
I like that.
Like I use Stream Monsters just to like last minute verify. So sometimes I'll say some statements I'm like 80% confident in.
They're saying J-Man won Apex 2009. Is that true? Apex?
That was like the really small Apex before like the big Apex.
Oh right. That was the one with the weird logo.
Yeah.
I guess it's not even the smallest Apex anymore.
Yeah.
I think about,
oh. It might. No, I mean.
Attendance-wise, is this one smaller than that one?
Probably not. I mean, like even a small tournament gets a couple hundred, and I can't imagine that. Given that Apex 2010 probably had like 200 ish, I can't imagine that 091 having more than like 150.
Yeah. So we're gonna say at majors, Reaching was undefeated because that's pretty true. Because no, we're not gonna count the J-Man one. And besides, the stats still is ridiculously impressive.
I mean,
he
like,
went 1,001, 1,002 in sets against Foxes for like 6 years, and that stopped them from winning.
But I mean, I guess like going back to the original conversation about where Swedish is placing, it is, you know, I mean, I think we go around what's top 15. He's beaten SUJ pretty confident against, you know, West Bowls.
Yeah.
I think he could go reasonably well against SFAT and Lucky. I mean, I think SFAT and Lucky. SFAT would definitely have a slight edge on him. I think SFAT's really good against Sheik.
I don't know if I'd favor him against any of those, but it's enough where I'd be like, I don't know who wins.
40-60?
40-60s. So, I guess
he doesn't have any bad matchups either. Like where, you know, Duck is going to lose to every Falcon in bracket. SUJ is going to lose to every Sheik. Like, I don't really think Swedish has, like, a really awful matchup. Kobold, you know, loses to every Fox and Dittos. Like, if I put Swedish in a bracket and I go, like, I hope he doesn't play against a Falcon. Like, that's how I feel about all these other, like, top 15 to 20 players.
They're telling us our audio is horrible. What is happening to our production?
I think it's because we keep banging the wall.
You think so?
Yeah. We keep banging the wall. All right,
let me. Plug where your mouse,
because that's where my camera is. Hi.
They should be hearing us now. Oh wait, can you try putting this up? It's at max. Right?
It was at max. GG.
Oh my god.
Hi.
Can you go into it?
All right, they said it's saved.
We're saved?
Yeah.
We deeply apologize for the technical issues. We are noobs. We are not Spencer or Gimmer.
There's the hum is probably the air conditioning, which is unfortunate. But we probably can't bang the thing.
Let's stop banging. No more banging.
No banging.
We're gonna keep our hands to ourselves. Can't keep our hands to ourselves. That's our problem. But it sounds like we're good now. Yes.
All right.
Okay, so regardless, we were talking about Swedish Elite, how good he is at Melee, at Super Smash Brothers.
I mean, you would have to, at this point, make a case for me to say he's not top 15. I mean, because if we're playing debating positions, I feel like I have a much easier time debating that he is top 15 than he is not top 15.
I would rather be on the side that's debating for him being top 15.
Yeah.
No, it's a lot of recent results, right? Like, and that's where people often lean back, right? Is that they say, has he earned it yet? There's like, he was, on the edge of top 30 6 months ago, right? Does he jump that high just because of 3 months of results?
Yeah, I mean,
that would be the other half of it.
I
right?
think I guess the devil's advocate is that Pound 2016 fourth place isn't really that great if you really look at his bracket. I
think it's pretty good. I think sure you look at the bracket, but then you look at the field and you're like, okay, well everyone else played bad. And you know what that means? That means he leapfrogged a bunch of people.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess that's the other part of it, right? If you're placing well and everyone else is placing bad, then you implicitly move up because everyone else did awful. Like,
right.
That was a tournament where like Westfall's, Hugs, who else drowned? MacD. So by virtue, he like indirectly goes up not because he did particularly well in the head-to-heads, but everyone else did worse.
Right. So he goes up naturally, and he still got fourth at a major. Like that's amazing, right? So, yeah. Like so, Swedish. He's on his up and up. I don't know how high he'll go. He's a very humble guy, so he'll never give himself credit, but every time I watch him, I'm like, this guy's legit. And he's not legit for any gimmicky reason or anything whatsoever. And you know what? He even took a game off Hunger Box with Luigi. And the Luigis aren't doing that. Like,
And well, Eddie.
has Eddie taken a game?
Yeah, he took one at G3.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah, good for him.
Good for him. But in general, like,
That's
why is he doing better with his Luigi than he's doing with his Sheik?
You know, he like low key outed Nintendo's secret counter pick.
What do you mean?
Nintendo's been like supposedly practicing a secret character, and I think it was Luigi.
Was it Luigi or against Puff?
Yeah.
Well, good luck now.
Good luck now.
There's for the longest time people have said Luigi does well or even beats Puff. One of my good friends, Ruffle, says that's Puff's Luigi's hardest matchup. He thinks that Puff destroys Luigi. But others disagree and think that because of Luigi's strong KO power, good aerials, he can compete. One hard thing, and HBox got every time, is that down throw into aerial doesn't work if they DI behind you. Down throw with Luigi kind of sucks. Like if I was gonna patch melee, I would make down throw would just work for Luigi because sure it's a fast throw, and one of the problems that Swedish had was that he would pummel, so it'd make it even easier for HBox to get the DI.
Yeah.
But pretty much if you DI behind Luigi with his down throw, he gets like nothing on most characters on most percents.
Yeah.
And that's just sad because they still go for the down throw because it's fast enough that if they miss the DI, they get so much. But like Luigi really needs that because without that down throw, he's pretty much left to like back throw edge guarding, right? And against Puff, that's not worth it, so they just down throw anyway.
So, I mean, overall, like, I guess if we're arguing Swedish, like, I think the big arguments he has is he doesn't have weak matchups. Like, he has a peach for Ice Climbers.
I mean, Puff could be if he's going Luigi against Puff, it could be a weak matchup. But
is he losing? Is he losing to Prince Abu?
No, he'd only be losing to.
Is he gonna lose to Tech or Soft?
No, well, we don't know about Tech. We haven't seen Tech.
But like, I don't think he'd like. I'd be reasonably surprised if Tech beat him. Let's just put it that
I'd be very surprised, just because of how good Swedish is. And the Sheik Puff matches were close.
Yeah.
It was a 3-0, but it was very close. So yeah, I'd be surprised for sure.
Yeah, so I mean, I think when we like say like he has a weak matchup to Puff, is it really just Hungry Box?
Yeah. So okay.
Yeah.
So, and his IC's matchup is good because he has a real Peach.
Yeah.
So those are like the two problem matches for Sheiks, which, to me, kind of like makes him congruent to Plup in many ways, because Plup uses Samus in matchups where Sheik can struggle traditionally, right? And if Swedish is doing the same thing, how far can he go? It actually makes me wonder and worry for Shroomed, another Sheik who could very well be going Doc against Ice Climbers, for example. Never really made that adjustment, never did it, completely dropped his Doc. And he doesn't have the advantages that Plup and now Swedish are doing and going secondaries in Sheik's problems matchups.
Yeah. So.
I don't find it particularly entertaining to see people give up on matchups. Like the Sheiks have been doing against Ice Climbers, for example.
You don't understand how unfun it is to play Sheik Ice Climbers.
Look, I get it, but if the Mars ever gave up against Sheik, back in the day, that matchup would be very different than what it is now.
I don't think.
I love when we see progress in matchups rather than players just straight give up.
I mean, I think it's like March Sheik. Like you're not getting grabbed into death every time, and so it's a very polarizing matchup. And I know that Leffen and Shroom kind of went at it, but. Like, even if you want to practice the matchup, like, granted, like, I think as a professional, you should be practicing every matchup so that you're good at everything. But I've tried Sheik against a Wobbler for an hour and a half, and we both weren't having fun.
They weren't having fun either?
Because I was just platform camping.
I see.
And, like, I was just throwing needles, throwing back air, and I was just forcing, it's like, okay, who wants to make the first move here? And I had 3 timeouts.
Wow.
So, it's...
I get it.
Like, if I really want to win that matchup, like, it's... For me, like, I'm evolved past the point where, like, I want to win. That it's, like, not fun for me.
Right. I think there's something to be said for, like, being the guy to crack a code for a problem matchup, though. Like, I think that's super,
but, like,
super
how much can you really learn? I mean, how much... Like, because you're not going to combo Ice Climbers more than you can. I guess you could hit Nana better. I mean, maybe if you develop the scientific way to, like, get Nana off stage really quick, then that would be really cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to give up on Sheik's side of Sheik ICs yet, but the Sheiks certainly are.
Yeah.
And I guess it makes sense with the results they've been having.
Yeah.
So
I think it tests execution a lot too, and I think that's where it gets really stressful.
Yeah,
because they can just crouch cancel grab.
And it's hard execution too, because Sheik's usually on platforms doing her like triangle needle game, like the stuff that's hard with Sheik. So it's understandable.
So Swedish, good.
Yeah.
I think my thing about losers, that was the best of 5 between him and Muta King, and I always say that if you're a Fox and you lose one of FD or Stadium, then you deserve to lose.
Yeah,
and that's what happened. I think Muta King, made a really good comeback on Stadium. His Fox is still really good. I think people don't realize that, but because he lost on FD, which is like a match that's like, in my book, like 70-30 in Fox's favor. Like I don't think he deserved to win the set.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, yes, Muta King's Fox is really good, but I think if you look at his worst losses in his career, they're almost all his Fox. So
is that correlation?
How far would solo Fox Muta King go in the tournament?
Oh god.
Where would he be ranked on MIOM solo Muta King Fox?
I think he would still be like top 20.
Are you sure?
Yeah. You forget that just like a year ago, like he was beating Leftin in dittos, and
he'd probably still be top 20.
And I'm pretty sure he could gimmick his way past and steal a set off of SFET or Lucky. He has done it.
He can do it. Point is, he'd be a borderline. Whereas his Martha and Sheik solo, even just solo, he's still like a top 5. Yeah, he's pretty much the same ranking.
Yeah,
actually, with a little variance. So yeah, obviously it's still extremely good.
Yeah.
But
he takes Hungrybox to game 5, and as much as we harp on his neutral game, he does do a lot of things well that a lot of people don't like to point out, because it's
no, absolutely, his laser game is amazing.
Yeah.
He's really good at double lasering, turns out, and he does a lot of good stuff. So absolutely. Yeah, he'd still be a top 20 player. I'll agree with that, but that's still a massive drop off.
It is. The jump between 5th and 20th is huge.
Yeah, and if you're a Fox fan, you should watch this Fox to learn a lot. So.
Yeah, there are little things I saw that he really got a nice double jump read on Swedish to kill him on the Stadium.
Yeah,
so it still has little elements of greatness.
Yeah, and there'd be some 20 to 30 players he'd lose to be fair, right? He would lose to the Moon maybe, or he would lose to Pew Pew maybe, or he would lose to probably the Ice Climbers.
Or he might lose to Mike Hayes or KJH. He
might, straight up. So that's still a factor. He's very matchup dependent with that character. So regardless, Muta King ends up as 3rd. Really disappointing result for him. He had a few emo tweets afterwards that he's going to focus on Smash 4,
which he shortly deleted after.
Did he? He deleted that?
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind if he did. Play Smash 4 for a while, Muta King. If that's what you need to do, you need to do it.
He'll be back as soon as they announce a cloud nerf or he loses to some shenanigan. He'll be back. So I'm not too worried about his melee career.
Yeah, we've gotten a lot of Muta King.
Yeah,
and we will continue to get a lot of.
You know what's the secret behind finding Muta King's deleted tweets?
What?
You go to his Facebook.
Ah, you're a smart guy. Because he links them, right?
Yeah, he links them.
Yeah, he does the super lazy, making his Facebook just do his tweets.
Yeah.
And that's made his Facebook big. So you can call it lazy if you want, but people sometimes they like his Facebook page. He's like, hey, this is an active Facebook page.
Yeah.
But it's just his Twitter.
Retweets and all that stuff. So that's a little secret about him. Mayhem was very interesting. Duncan and I commentated, and I swear, other than possibly grand finals, every set I commentated had an Ice Climbers in it.
Army,
yes.
Army.
You made a run.
Army. What the heck, man? So do you have the bracket up?
I do. Let me go to winners.
Let's see. Let's talk about Army's run, because no one could have expected that.
Army went through Mike Hayes and then Connor and then Hugo to make it into winners finals, and took Lucky to game 5.
Because I wasn't there. What were the emotions in the room when he was in freaking winners finals?
I forget which region he comes from. I think it's 805.
805. If he's from 805, 805 is very loud.
Yeah, there were some very loud impact. It was actually polarizing. Some there was like the small crowd audience that doesn't like wobbling. They're like kind of like salty about it, but there are like a large amount of new people that were really excited because Army relatively is a newer player and he's been rising up the ranks. So in some aspects, I think he's like the Bernie Sanders of Melee in the sense that he inspires like the masses to say like, hey, like we can do it and we can rise our ranks. So like there were a lot of people excited that there was like a newer player, new blood, getting into winners finals, and he was doing well, and his 805 homies were also cheering him on.
That's crazy cool. He ended up getting third, I believe, right? Hugs brought it back in losers.
Yeah, that losers set was not close.
Yeah. But still, he beat him in winners. This is like, going 1-1 in Army is not good for Hugs. And sure, Hugs made it back into Grands, but it's kind of showing that he still has a real big weakness to Ice Climbers. And whatever it is, it's sticking, right?
But to be fair, he did manage to bring it back against this kid Boogie, who has gone him trouble in the past.
That's true.
And he did 3-0.
So he got better at it.
Yeah.
And losers, because it was Diz Kid and Army he played at losers.
Yeah.
And being able to beat those two, I mean, that's pretty impressive. I'm not sure if I'm fully convinced because those two are not the same as the top level Ice Climbers, but
I mean, is it just at this?
And those players might just be better than Hugs. So there's that too.
I mean, would I pick this kid or Fly right now? I'd probably pick this kid.
At the moment.
Yeah. I mean, there's not too many other ones. I mean, there's Wobbles and Tendude and Chudat who comes from time to time.
Right. But still, that's a lot of, like, Wobbles and Tendude, Hugo might just lose skill to skill, right?
Yeah.
But losing Chu is not good, right? It's not, right? And Dizkid and Army should be below his level at least, so he shouldn't be dropping sets. So I still say it's a little bit of a problem, whatever it is. Good that he's figuring it out, so good for him. Second is not a terrible result at Mayhem for Hugo at all. So he'll take it. Lucky ends up winning it in the end. Continuing a good streak in SoCal, actually.
Yeah.
For Lucky. So
it was really scary in winners because I believe Army actually like 3-stocked him on FOD.
Yeah.
And the setups that he was really getting were pretty nasty on the Final Destination, where it was like dash attack into grab, jab into grab, and these were not just like the Randy like let's hope that I can run into you and get a grab. Like he was setting up into grabs, and so they were like really amazing setups. So I have to give credit to Army. Like I think a lot of people were really salty about him, wobbling his way, but a lot of his setups were really good.
Yeah. So it's a player to watch out for sure.
But then he loses to stomach flu, and
who's stomach flu?
It's interesting. So,
you don't know?
I mean,
if you don't know, you don't know.
I mean,
it's okay.
I mean, Army has. I mean, I know he's a dock player. That's all I know.
That's all you need to know sometimes.
Yes. But like he does have some like very questionable tournaments where like I'm like okay, like Army is stepping it up, and then I look at his next bracket and I'm like who's stomach flu, and then I have to like go on YouTube to like figure things out.
It's dock player, dude.
Yeah.
Dock versus Ice Climbers. You pill enough, it can happen.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. He did beat Hugo. He did win these good matches, but I want to see how he rounds up like the janky matchups.
Like the chat's trolling. They're saying dash attack and grab, pog jam, jab to grab, pog jam. Oh my god, the setups. All right, guys, you're very funny. Play Ice Climbers. See how hard it is.
Dude, getting grabs isn't.
It's not easy. They got little arms.
And even trying to do dash dance grab as Ice Climbers is really hard, considering how much aerial drift and how much like better players will react and hit you.
Right. So, yes, wobbling isn't the coolest thing in the world, but it's not easy to play Ice Climbers. So.
And he did make that he made a really impressive run against Connor where he had Sopo and literally like got a whole stock and won the game off of the Sopo. So he had a lot of like really good moments too.
Yeah. So good for him. I think the Connor one's actually surprising too. Did Connor not go Peach?
I mean, he beat Nintendo with Fox. Remember?
Yeah, but still, he's got a Peach.
He does have a Peach, but like he hates Peach.
Yeah, he's got his thing going on. It's weird. I don't think you ever. I've said this a million times on the show, but you should never throw away a character you get that good with.
Yeah,
is my opinion. It's like if you're that good with a character and that character happens to have an 80-20 matchup, why aren't you using that?
Yeah.
It just seems counterproductive to me.
Dude, I had to bring out Peach before once, at PAX.
Did you against who?
This Ice Climbers player.
Did it work?
Yeah.
That's sad.
I did the Armada strat on FD.
Forward air?
Yeah.
Nice.
Forward air, deteriorate shield, down smash, and that was it.
Is there a single thing, like a single matchup in Melee you'd be more surprised about than if Armada lost to an Ice Climber?
I can, lost a set or lost a game.
Lost a set. And I mean between high tiers. If you lost to a Bowser, then I'd be even more surprised. But
I would be surprised. I just don't see it happening for 3 games. I could see him losing a game, just getting wobbled.
yeah.
There's always that realm of possibility.
But character to character, I think that might be.
That might be one of the.
That'd just be like, wow, can't believe that happened.
Yeah, I mean, for a while I would have added Mewtwo King to Falcon, but we saw.
Yeah, so it happens. It happens.
So maybe we might see another.
An Ice Climber genius. What if Army is that genius? It could be.
Yeah, it could happen. I mean, we can't say never. I mean, we were proven wrong. I mean,
he's got a sick tag.
Yeah.
Army's pretty good. It's kind of like Armada.
Yeah.
And militaristic.
I think it's short for his name.
What's his name?
It's Armando, Armando or something.
Armandos are. I love Armandos.
Yeah. So shouts to him. I don't really know what else really out of the ordinary happened in the bracket. I mean, Psycho Midget did beat Azusa. Azusa did go Falco.
If you want to quickly jump back to Smash and Splash, one topic we didn't discuss is Westball's Fox. More West Fox again. This is after the week before he played at SSS. He played almost exclusively Fox. He also played at Smash and Splash, almost exclusively Fox. What do you think of it now that we've seen more of it?
So, I think there's some.
Let's recap his run actually first.
There's some issues. I was kind of wondering okay, what can Westballs is it? This is Smash and Splash too?
Yeah, he beat Dark Atma, 2-0'd Wizrobe. I think Wizrobe he was Falco. Is that right?
Probably.
Yeah. And then he lost 3-2 to Swedish, but that's actually not that bad, considering his Falco might do worse. And then he lost 3-2 to Shroomed. That's his Fox, I think. Too.
I think he may have won one game against. He went Falco's one game.
Yeah, it was Yoshi's.
And then he got destroyed.
Yeah. So.
So I mean, here's my thing about Wes is that he's really good if you want to hit him, because he's actually really good at doing the micro game in a defensive way. Crouch canceling correctly, up tilting at the last moment, back airing, SDIing correctly, and just hitting you. And so it could be really frustrating to hit, but characters like Sheik and characters that are going to play a lot more passive, forcing West to make a play, that's where West struggles. And I don't think the Falco is the right character for him if he needs to be approaching all the time.
Right, but I also think that when Wes is trying to reach for a play, Falco's lasers are a nice thing to fall back on, and Falco's full hop is a nice thing to fall back on. And with Falco, with Fox, if you're in a last stock situation as Fox, let me tell you, it's still one of the most nerve-wracking things in Melee, right?
But how many times, to add to that, how many times have you seen Westball's full hop dare into a grab and die?
Yeah, it's happened.
Or him hitting a shield incorrectly and then dying.
I think it's a good experimentation. I think he absolutely needs it long term. I just don't see his Falco style doing better against Armadas and Hungry Boxes in the world. So Fox, Fox can kind of play aggressive against even the floaties. He can kind of, sort of.
But I mean, Armada and Hungry Box are going to be later in the bracket for him. I think the more worrying thing for me is how's he going to deal with Sheik.
Yeah, which has been a continual problem.
Yeah, it's been a problem for probably multiple years. He's had stretches where he's been shroomed in a set, but now he has multiple set losses to Ladandis. Shroome's taken the last 2 sets off of him. Swedish has been frankly bodying him overall, even though the last time was 3-2. I think his Fox is much harder to deal with.
Yeah. And I think it's beginning to affect my overall perception of him as in terms of the ranking, because this Sheik problem. There's a lot of Sheiks in the top 30 now.
Yeah.
You just listed 5. That's a big chunk of a bracket that he could potentially play against, and he could potentially lose against all of them, or has losing records against all of them. That's going to affect how he does in tournaments
I mean,
consistent.
even Atma took him to game 3, and Atma's
Yeah.
not really in practice. I would say Atma's like maybe like a top 50 player,
Yeah.
and so it's a little bit worrying. Like I don't even know. Like you sure like I would give him over Ladandis. Like I would give him the favorite.
Right.
But the fact that Ladandis could take a set from him in like winners round of 64, like
It's huge.
40% of the time means West Balls could go to losers in 49th place, and he's fighting to not get 49th or 33rd at that point.
Right. And that's a big, long losers run that he'd have to make, which he's capable of, but it's difficult. So, I don't know. It's part of the discussion. Like if you were going to make an argument for Axe over West, in the overall SSBM rank, that's one of those arguments you'd make.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, Axe, a Pikachu player, does better against Sheiks than even West Balls does.
I think it's an interesting case, and this is kind of a case where it's really hard for me to sort out because you have activity, and frankly, Axe hasn't really attended much in the past month.
It's been interesting.
And he also, at Pound 2016, lost to Gravy and lost to Chudat for 25th.
Yeah.
Which isn't much better than West Balls' 33rd.
Right. Both those guys, we've been saying it for the last 4 months. They're okay, so Plup is surging, but they haven't had the greatest results. Axe pretty much had his back-to-back Genesis and PAX Arena runs. Those are good. Those are straight good. Ever since then, up and down, not amazing, with a few really, really bad results mixed in there. And West Balls also up and down with some very bad results mixed in there.
I think what separated them, because for a while when PPMD was still active, and you had Plup, Axe, PPMD at 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
Their saving grace was they had high peaks, and their ceilings, their floors, as much as they would happen, they didn't happen that often. And the fact that it is happening very often is kind of worrying if you're, especially if you're a West Balls or Axe fan. Because you look at the tier below them, the line is shrinking, and players like SFAT, Shroomed, Wizzy, Swedish, they're actually starting to get comparable results. And if you look at them in the past 2 to 3 months, you can actually make reasonable cases and say I think Shroom did better than Axe, and I think Shroom did better than West Balls. And as crazy as that sounds, and the way I'm saying it right now, if you really look at the last 2 to 3 months, you can actually make a case that Shroom has done better than West Balls.
I think you can make a case that Shroom's ranking right now is really weird, right? That you could put him a lot higher.
Yeah, just keeping in mind power rankings last 3 months, because his first 3 months of the year were really bad.
Exactly. So it's weird that the bunch around 8 to 12. It's been weird. I don't know. Sometimes it is I feel like the seeding hasn't caught up to the results.
Yeah.
Wizrobe is still getting seeded if there's a major, I wouldn't be surprised if the TO still seeded him freaking 25th.
Yeah.
But he shouldn't be.
I mean, you look at his
same Swedish, right? So they shouldn't be ranked. They shouldn't be seeded that low anymore. They shouldn't be.
I mean, if you look at it, Wizrobe loses to Mutaking for 7th at Smash and Splash, is 5th.
Yeah. I mean, now Mutaking lost to freaking Swedish. But,
yeah. And then you have Gommel, where he had to play Mango and lost some losers early.
Didn't Wizrobe at Gommel lose to Mango and was it Mango and Armada? What did he lose to?
It was something.
It was some ridiculous combination of two gods.
If you look at him, he's one of the people that's been capped because he keeps running into a god for 7th place or 9th place.
Yeah.
And
his brackets have been really, really tough.
And he's had solid records against everybody across the vote. We've talked about it before. Winning records on Lucky, split with SUJ, loses to West Balls, beats MacD, beats Hugs. If Wizrobe was in SoCal, he'd be top 4 maybe.
In what? In the SoCal power ranking?
Fourth.
He might be number 1 if you don't count Mango.
I don't put him ahead of Lucky.
I wouldn't either, but I'm saying that, do you think that if he went to a SoCal event that he couldn't win it?
I think he'd win it.
He could win, and he would do very, very well.
You do very well. I can see him in top 3.
You'd have MacD, you'd have SUJ. You look at his Hugs, Lucky would be his biggest threat, right? West Balls. Lucky and West Balls. Okay, he wouldn't be ranked higher than West Balls.
Yeah.
Can't forget about West Balls. But he'd be in the top 3.
Yeah.
I think he'd be top 3 somewhere. Top 3, 4, top 4. You're right, actually. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Still got stacked. I forgot. Okay.
But that's like really good. I mean, there's not too many people we can say that
about, right? So.
And so it's gonna be interesting because I really do hope that like you said, TOs do update their seating. I think Wizrobe. I think that if you're at the point where you're getting capped out by gods every time, like I really think they deserve a chance to like not lose to gods for like 9th place every time.
Right.
And I think this is also where we got to bring in Joey into the mix. You look at his losses. He's only lost to gods in the past 3 months. And
if there's a guy that stands ahead of that pack of players below Plup, it might be Lucky. His results in the last 3 months have been really good.
And there's one set where he lost to Axe, I forgot to mention, but he's 3-1 against Axe in the past 3 months.
Yeah.
So like even that one loss against Axe, it's like, well, he wins the head-to-head, like significantly, and so it's gonna be really interesting. Lucky, got sponsored by Selfless, and this guy hasn't been losing, and that's a big thing we've been harping on him, right? Like he's inconsistent. Like he might have like a random 17th place, randomly scrub.
His Gommel run was really impressive.
Yeah.
Both in singles and doubles. I mean, but both were really good. And then he's been winning SSS and Mayhem, and that to me that's usually a sign that the player, like when they get consistent with that,
like at locals, regionals, and nationals.
Yeah, like he's doing it from top to bottom, right? So that's good.
I think I think part of it, we harped on Lucky not too long ago where we said, hey, like Lucky, like why are you like partying till like 2 a.m. when you have like top 8 the next day? And I think we use that as a John, but I think he has been taking care of himself, and that's part of the reason why he's improved a lot, is because he knows that he can't do these other things and expect to also do well, like kind of what Mango gets away with.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I think he needs a few more results to have him leapfrog a few people, but he's dude. The top 10 discussion is really weird.
It is.
It's super weird right now. I think people have settled on the idea of our top 4, which is Armada, HBox, Mango, Leffen is what people are settling on. But I think this weekend's going to decide a lot.
Yeah.
Sure, they're 3, they're not all in the same room, but we're going to have a lot of God matchups this weekend.
Yeah.
And, Armada Leffen, I think that's huge. And like I mentioned earlier, and having, that HBox Mango showdown in Texas is going to be big too.
And to clarify for Lucky's losses, I only mean in the last 3 months. So you can go back to G3 and all that stuff, but just to clarify.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we rise up the ranks, right? The Big 4 is also very interesting. I'd say Big 4 at this point.
I think it's fair. I think it's hard for me to discern between Mewtwo King and Plup, who's like, that they'd be a different tier. Yes, I still would put Mewtwo King higher, but to me, if I tier players, Plup is in the same tier as Mewtwo King. Is that incorrect to say?
I agree. If this were 2 months ago, I think Mewtwo King was slowly making a case for himself to say, like, hey, this guy can compete with literally anybody. The 3-0 win on Ramada, 3-0 set wins on Mango, going 2-3 against Hungrybox and Leffen. Like, you can tell that the level of skill is there for him to take these sets, but I've never seen such a low floor from him. And like
the distinction I would make is that when everyone is present, Plup and Mewtwo King have a very low chance of winning the entire event.
Yeah.
Those top 4 players can win the event, right? Yeah. And I think Mewtwo King, you might put him in his own tier because those win, like Plup is not 3-0ing Armada, right? Like Mewtwo King did at Summit. That's not happening, right? Not at least it hasn't happened yet. It might happen in the future, but it hasn't happened yet. So maybe you make another tier between Mewtwo King and Plup, but I think there is definitely a tier difference between Mewtwo King and the top 4 because they can actually go all the way and win the tournament. And I think it's fair to actually even lump Plup in with Mewtwo King, even with Mewtwo King higher than him.
I totally agree with you, and the way I see it is like Mewtwo King's like peak, and floors like this, and Plup's is like this.
Yeah.
Like where you're gonna know what you get out of Plup. But like Mewtwo King like has like a higher high, but like his lows have been really bad.
Yeah.
And people can comment and say like, well, he's playing multiple games, but for the fact that that's gonna be consistent throughout the summer, like means that I don't think you can really use that as a John, where it's like, oh, he's got to juggle games. But if that's a consistency, thing, or that's going to be consistent for him for the rest of the summer, then I have to kind of rate him according to what are his normal conditions.
Mm-hmm. So Chad's pointing out Plup is 0-4 versus Mango, and 2016 is only being Mew King. That's true. I mean, Plup, look, in 2015, he definitely took sets off Mango, so he's been on a little bit of a lose streak in Mango. And for me, I look at some of the games, like, you look at that Smash Summit set, and you're telling me that this guy can't compete with Mango, I think you're crazy. And yeah,
because we're giving credit for Mew King getting close to Hungrybox, right?
We're doing the same thing, right?
Yeah. So like,
for sure. So look, like I said, I think it's fair. If you want, you could say there's the top 4, then there's Mew King, and then there's Plup, and you tier it out that way. That sounds like a lot of tiers to me, but that might be fair too. That might be fair too.
Plup panning wins like candy and losers.
He's not losing to Swedish. Though he could, right? Like, do you think it's not possible that Swedish could beat Plup? Swedish could beat anyone, man. I don't know. I'm crazy.
Yeah.
I think I'm high on the guy.
Yeah, I'm pretty high on Swedish too.
I'm high on Swedish.
Is Plup losing to none?
Good point.
I don't know. Who knows? Maybe none.
He might. Maybe he could. Maybe he could.
Maybe he could.
Maybe he could, dude. Anyway, that's crazy. So Zelko says, I don't think Plup is anywhere close to beating Armada or H-Box right now. Yeah, probably not. Probably not, right?
I also don't see Plup losing to like having as bad of a ratio of losses to,
against the field, right?
Yeah, and so that's the way I see it. It's
who is Plup's hardest matchup of the field? If you really break it down.
I mean, I think he's pretty commanding over Wes. He did lose to Lucky last time, if I remember correctly. It was like 8 months ago.
Are we really pulling that far back to think about?
I mean, I would be okay if I were to be a little bit nervous. I would say like it'd be the top 15 boxes, not SFET though, like the Lucky, the Ice type players. Ice beat him last time at G3.
Ice is probably the answer, right? Because Ice is so good against Sheik.
Is he good against Samus though? I think this is.
No, he's not. So you're right. So he'd go
Samus. I feel like.
Unless he's stubborn, so he might be stubborn, but I think if he goes Samus, he'd probably be nice.
Yeah, I think Lucky might be the most difficult for him because
Lucky good against both.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be Lucky.
Yeah, I can foresee in the future Plup going Samus, like in certain cases, like Ice.
Yeah, he might go Samus against Lucky too. I mean, I don't know.
Lucky's solid against.
He is, but he's solid against Sheik too. I don't know who he'd do better with.
Yeah.
So
right.
He did lose to Nintendo in that set where he flicked him off. Right.
Yeah, but like if you're gonna do that, then we can name all the Mew King sets where he lost like Diskid, Wobbles. Nintendo.
No, true.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying purely Plup on his own in an island. Who's his hardest opponent of the field?
I mean, for the most part, he's
still solid against Ice Climbers with his Samus. I mean,
I think he's like, what was it, like 3-1 in sets against Nintendo? Like give or take, if you go back like 2015, he has a pretty good record against Nintendo.
So I think you might be right. Lucky's probably the answer. It would be Ice if it wasn't for the Samus.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's probably right. But the fact that we have to talk this long to get to that answer means that Plup is at least a tier above that field, right?
Or like West Bowls, you could name like 5 people.
Yeah, actually West Bowls, I would give it quick. I'd be like Swedish right there. Is the answer Swedish, right? Just Sheik. I would name you 10 Sheik players. It might be Shroom might be the answer. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of others. I mean, who knows, right?
Yeah.
So, for sure. Do you want to do fan questions? Do you have those
yeah. I have it on my phone.
Nice. Did you post the link so we have questions?
Somebody posted the link. Ask FM Tapokins. I put it on my Twitter earlier today.
Nice. So we have questions until.
I think we have like 10.
Sweet. So chat. Basically, how we like to do it, like the second part of the show is we put an Ask FM link up and we take fan questions. So if you guys have any questions for us about Melee, the scene, tournament logistics, whatever you want to talk about, just ask us.
Okay. Okay, I got a pseudo personal one. What exactly do I do at NASA JPL? So I'm a quality engineer. So half my time I work in the electronic fabrication lab, and I just make sure that the large boards that we work on are good to fly and that they're not going to crash. And I also do web app development.
And guys, please use the AskFM link. Someone posted a mod or somebody just posted because we'll favor that over the chat. We're gonna be reading this off.
Do you feel like LTC4 will decide the current second best in the world since Mango has now won the last 3 sets against Hungrybox?
It's actually a really good question. I like that question.
I actually do. I think there's a asterisk to that because we also have to see what happens with Leffen and Armada.
You think Leffen could be ranked second best in the world if he beats Armada?
Okay, the only time where I could really see that is like if let's say like Leffen just flat out 6-0s Armada, and like Mango and Hungrybox is like a 15-game set where it's like really close.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that like Leffen leapfrogs him, but then you also have to kind of consider that into the equation.
That's crazy.
Like, what if Leffen 6-0'd Armada and like Hungrybox a set and a half?
You know how it goes. There's gonna be people out there who would call for Leffen being even ranked number 1 in the world just because he won 1 set. Those people are crazy. But Tafo's running around trying to plug in his battery. But that's both questions are interesting. What happens to the rankings if Leffen beats Armada? Oh wow, everyone's freaking out. What happened to headphone users? I think they heard your little sound.
How did that happen?
Does the wall plug not work? The struggle. Oh no. Oh, it's working. It's working. You're good. You're good. You're good.
I just had to turn it around.
Yeah.
Are we hella loud right now? Sorry.
Are we loud?
Yeah.
No, I think it's fine now. No.
Oh, my system sounds. I'm so sorry.
CD-ROM Tunnel says, "How do we have audio issues after so many?" Dude, this is like our 6th episode. We've done this for like a month, bro.
This is our first live episode.
This is our first live episode. Give us a break.
I'm so sorry about
Cut us some slack, dude. We're noobs.
Alright. We need Spencer.
He works at NASA. I just like hit my keyboard at Twitch. We're not the smartest guys. We're trying to figure it out.
So, it's interesting. I don't have a definite conclusion. It depends on how well Leffen does against Armada. Like if Mango, let's say 6-0'd Hungrybox, but Leffen 6-0'd Armada, I would have to think about it a lot more.
You think the margin of victory is what would decide it for you?
Yeah. Like what if like Mango went to 3 sets against Hungrybox and they're all like game 5, and Hungrybox just 6-0'd Armada?
So this is basically off the foot of Gobble, where it was Mango Leffen in finals. So you're saying if Leffen beats Armada,
like 6-0,
it wouldn't make Leffen better than Armada, would it?
I wouldn't.
Well, Armada just did really poorly at Gobble.
That's so tough.
It wouldn't. It can't possibly make 2 tournaments just change everything.
If we're gonna, I can't put him ahead of Armada.
But what result? So how far back do we have to go in results to justify that?
I mean, how long did we go for Hungrybox? You know, we went pretty long for Hungrybox.
Yeah.
I wouldn't give him 1. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, he can't be given 1 just because he freaking beat him 1-2 tournaments.
Yeah. I would say it at least puts him in the conversation for number 2.
That's crazy!
I mean, I wouldn't put him number 2. I would say he's in the conversation for 2 if that were the case next weekend.
So, man.
I mean, that further proves the point, because if I write...
I think you're... Dude, if he beats Armada this weekend... He might... I won't put him...
Somebody can make an argument. You can make an argument. I wouldn't give it to him, but...
Here's what I'll say. If Mango loses the Hungrybox and Leffen beats Armada this weekend, Leffen is number 3 and Mango's 4.
Yeah, I would give that.
So, okay. Now let's play through scenarios. If Mango beats HBox this weekend and Leffen loses this weekend, then Mango might be number 2 and HBox moves to 3. Maybe not. Maybe HBox doesn't drop. even still.
Why not? Because like that puts Mango even with Hungrybox at this point.
Because we're saying DreamHack Austin, Gommel, and this are enough data.
To put Mango above Hungrybox?
Yeah.
I mean, how far behind has Mango been behind Hungrybox?
Yeah, he's only been losing barely, right?
And
he's been winning against everyone. He has good records overall against everybody.
I mean, he's 3-2 against Armada.
That's a good point. That's not a good point for Armada if Leffen beats Armada.
It is not.
Because then there'd be both Leffen and Mango with positive records against him.
Yeah.
And oh snap! What is happening in this world?
I mean, it's an exciting time for Melee. I think some people have pointed it out. It was a top-rated thread on Reddit where they said like it's a good time to be in Melee right now because we don't know who's going to win.
We don't, dude. If Leffen beats Armada this weekend, and Mango, how close is Armada to losing his throne as number one in the world? Is I think the question we have to ask ourselves.
I think if he loses again, like he was, I mean, second and fifth, where like every other player that's kind of been nipping at his heels are performing slightly better. I mean, this isn't the case where like it was like earlier this year, and we can say Armada is like undeniably number one.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we have to give Armada some credit for almost a full year now. Like he's been number one or number two at every event. And
yeah.
I don't know if you can
discount that quickly. I don't see it either.
Is Armada going to CEO? I don't know if he got the sub donation drive. Does anybody know?
Why is he getting a sub donation drive?
Like he's not motivated to go, and I think he wants to grow his stream brand, so it's like an indirect two birds with one stone type of thing.
All right, sure, Armada. If you need people to subscribe to you to get motivated to go to a national, then you got bigger problems than.
I mean, he doesn't want to travel like.
All right, sure, buddy.
I mean, that's fine. So, okay, let's put it this way: if he gets second at this event and gets like another like fourth or fifth at CEO, then.
Well, he's not going to CEO.
Okay, he's not.
Yeah, they're saying.
Well, okay, let's say hypothetically he was.
Armada not going to events also hurts him, in my view.
Yeah.
I think it's unfair to talk about all the losses that a player like Mewtwo has who goes to everything, and then.
But Mewtwo's losses are just like.
Yeah, it's like what's going on.
Yeah.
Like even if Armada went to more events, he wouldn't lose those players.
Okay, let's.
But still, like he has less quantity. He has a smaller quantity of events.
Yeah.
Naturally. Right?
So does Leffen.
So does Leffen.
I mean, Leffen did get 7th at EGLX.
But I don't think Leffen would miss an event like CEO.
Yeah.
Is my point.
So, let's say Armada was going to CEO. Let's say there was a case where he did, and he gets 5th again.
Huh?
If let's say he got 5th at CEO, and like Mango, Hungrybox, Leffen got 3rd, or first, second, 3rd, then I think that's enough for me to say that like Armada.
Look,
should not be under.
I don't think no matter what happens this weekend, I don't see Armada changing from number 1.
Okay, yeah, I agree.
We're gonna say that. But if he loses to Leffen, then it would take only one more tournament.
Like if he gets like 4th or 5th at like the next one that features.
I think if he just loses another tournament to Leffen.
Well, we also
specifically and exactly Leffen. If Leffen wins 3 in a row, you don't think he's the best in the world? If he wins Gommel, DreamHack, and then he goes to.
Didn't we say this conversation exactly the same thing last year?
Yeah, and some people thought Leffen was the best in the world last year.
But it wasn't clearly number 1 though.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't, and I think it's still hard to say that Leffen was best in the world at any point in his career. He was arguably there.
Yeah.
He was top 3 for sure. But let's put it this way: this is a big hypothetical. Leffen beats Armada this weekend. He wins CEO. And he wins Evo, then he's best in the world. Correct? Done.
Yeah, I mean, if he wins Evo,
that's free, right? That's free.
Obviously. I think who pretty much
that's Leffen's road to best in the world.
I think if at this point,
if we're gonna say there's that much of a road for him to be best, then I don't know why we're not giving Hungrybox the same credit as number 2
right now.
Yeah, like is his dominance as number 2 not been just as pronounced as Armada's over the last like 6 months for that like 6 months stretch?
But how far behind Mango has Mango really been in number 3?
Good point. So okay, it might be easier for Mango to leapfrog than it should be for Leffen.
Yeah, and I agree with that.
Okay,
but like,
so how about this? If Leffen beats Armada this weekend, and Mango loses to Hungrybox, then Leffen's 3.
Yeah.
If Mango wins, he should I think if Mango wins, he's still probably. If Mango wins, he's second.
I think he's tied with Hungry Box.
He's like tied-ish.
Yeah.
Tied-ish, but I think there's a good argument for Mango being second.
Yeah.
If Mango loses and Leffen wins, and Leffen's third, but in no scenario does Leffen move into the top two. Well, but if he wins CEO, then everything gets thrown in there.
Here's an interesting scenario here. If Mango goes 2-0 in sets against Hungry Box, then he now carries a winning record over Hungry Box for the year.
And Armada.
Yeah.
Ain't that something?
Yeah. Granted, he does have more losses against like the.
So you're saying that if Mango wins this weekend, he's number 2 in the world?
I think if he wins 2 sets, like goes 2-0, then he has a winning record, and I'm more inclined to give it to him, Mango number 2. But if it goes 2-1 and they tie in sets, then we can't argue like the head-to-head even.
And I don't even think that like. So if you're a Mango fan, you should also want Leffen to beat Armada. Because you want Armada's resume to get as deteriorated as possible, right?
Yeah, it's kind of funny that
like
it's kind of funny how you mentioned this right now. Because if you're an Armada fan, you want Armada to stay number 1, and you want Hungry Box to move down to number 4.
Why?
Because how do brackets play out for Evo?
Good point.
Yeah. Good
point. And see, a lot of this stuff is going to affect the seeding, in particular for Evo, because we're in a really weird spot right now, where even us talking about for this long have a hard time ordering our top 4.
Yeah.
Have a hard time ordering our top 10. Like, however those interpretations play out is going to change the bracket drastically and change everyone's results.
I think they need it by June 24th. Do you want to do an impromptu show before? Let's see. We probably can't do a show next Thursday because I'm going to be flying out. But maybe on Wednesday we should do a show next week that just says what our top 32 would be.
It's not bad. All right, let's move on to the next question. That was a very good question, though.
All right,
about what the implications of this weekend are.
All right,
and if you guys didn't get it, the implications are actually a lot. There's a lot riding on this weekend.
Yeah, Evo especially.
Yeah.
Okay. I hate it having to scroll. How do I think... I'm going to answer this quick. How do I feel about Hugs' impression of me? You can suck the 8-1 down his throat.
Ooh.
Since none didn't perform great at SN2, or Smash and Splash 2 as well as Gommel, what are you guys' opinion on where he stands on the Meowm top 100? It's a really good question. I would say, he's... Even going back to G3 where, he beat PPU, and, he's been racking up wins over like the Moon, Hugs, even at the Xanadu.
Mm-hmm.
I think he has performed for 6 months to the point where I could easily say he's top 30.
He's definitely top 30.
Yeah,
that's like without a doubt. I think
when you get to
if I think the thing is if you just write it out, and I think so many people want to jump and say he's top 20. If you write out the players and realize who you have him leapfrog over, it gets much harder. And yes, he had the Gommel result, but he still needs a lot more to back it up.
He also got viciously murdered by Diskit Boogie.
Yeah. So look, he's borderline top 25 is where I put him at right now.
Yeah.
Arguably top 20 if you are a huge fan.
Top 20 if you're doing power rankings.
Maybe if you're doing like very recent, a high recency bias. Point is, he's up and coming, and we might just have 3 Falcons in the top 20 in the future. But yeah, I'd say somewhere roughly top 25-ish, borderline level. He's leapfrogged a few people though.
Yeah,
for sure. Guys like Drugafox, guys like Pew Pew, guys
Hugs.
like Hugs. Those are names that he's like now clearly above. So that's good for him.
Yeah. Who are the best content creators in your opinion?
Who are the best who?
Who do you
content
think
creators
in the Smash community?
I think
I'm gonna start off with a curveball one. We'll just name people. I think Your Smash is good because he's consistent and he's found a market niche that serves a particular need, and a lot of people enjoy it. People from esports that aren't heavy into Smash don't want highlight reels.
Yeah.
Really like his content, and I'm not really for the BuzzFeed personally, but he does serve a great need, and he's consistent and good at what he does.
He's helped grow the game.
Yeah.
Like bottom line, I'm happy about anyone who helps grow the game, and his stuff's funny, so good for him.
Yeah.
So yeah, sure, he's a good choice. I think that SSBM Tutorials, I'm always a huge fan.
Yeah.
Great choice.
We'll do YouTube
I
channels first.
plug them a lot, so good for them. SSBM Tutorials. Who else is there? The Smash Academy.
Yeah, they're good.
They're really good.
There's that one guy that's doing like he did the up air on the Fox Jigs.
Like how to SDI it.
Like how to you can combo Jigglypuff at all percents.
Oh yeah. There's that. There's also like that Puff Mechanics guy in Jigglypuff Tutorials.
Yeah.
He's really good. A lot of like the random like red threads that like I pick up on those. That there's different people who've been putting in work on terms of tutorials and like very specific frame data stuff. Kadano hasn't made a video in a while, but like even the 6 or 7 videos he made are godlike.
You know,
like they're some of the best learning material you can ever have.
You know what I really wish? You know, some of the people that I think are trying to make a name for themselves, I wish they kept the medium or like some sort of aggregate that they can like quickly reference and say these are my godlike posts.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like that's going to be the next step for a lot of people.
So the frame gods, like Shmoo and Kadano, like a lot of their stuff practical. A lot of their stuff is archived on I Need Data.
Oh, okay.
So
but
like, you can see that in like blog form.
But not even like their personal portfolio.
I see.
Yeah.
So, Last Lock Legends. We didn't mention that, obviously.
I mean, there's the obvious ones. There's
that's just like they're godlike.
Yeah. I think we wanted to highlight like individuals that aren't.
Scrumpy's stuff is funny. Someone mentioned Scrumpy. Scrumpy's a funny guy. I love Scrumpy.
That Melee had its moments, and then they kind of stopped.
Oh, the blog, that was fun. Yeah.
Okay. Will players past top 20 ever be able to fully dedicate their time to competitive Melee? If yes, around what placing on Myom do you think a player can aim to fully commit to Melee and use it as their primary job?
At the moment, it's only top 25.
My case.
Well, he is fully committed, and he's like 40th. But he has the benefit of SoCal. Yeah. Which is, even his Tuesday tournament, he can make money on.
Yeah. I think there's a caveat. If you're in a really weak region that has large attendance and a good TO, then I think you could do it as like a top 60 level player because you win that event, you win doubles, that's like a grand.
Like if you're the best player in New England, you can make a lot of money. Yeah. Like you can make enough to make a living kind of money.
It wouldn't be great at living.
It's not a great living. We're not going to stand here and say that, but enough to be like, hey, plus if you have a stream, you can make it happen. So you could be as low as like top 60 and do it for real. Depending on your region. But for the most part, it's like pretty much the whole top 20 is full time now, with exception. Duck. Poor Duck. Yeah. Some sign that man. And there's like basically people in the top 40 who also are, with exception. Streaming helps the most because that's a big source of revenue for everybody. Yeah. So having a personality otherwise helps. But I would expect in a year or two it will be like the top 40 will be the cutoff.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. So I don't know if that'll ever change though. I think we'll get to top 40 and then we'll cap out because I don't know if I don't see a scenario where top like someone who's like 70th in the world in.
You'd have to have like something else very special.
Something would have to happen in the Smash community for number 70 to be full time.
Yeah. If you aren't a top player, how do you attract audiences to your stream? That's a pretty good question. I personally don't stream, but was curious because I visit the Melee Streams Twitch page often, and the only people getting real viewership are top players in Norwalk.
Well, it's not just top players. I think it's top personalities, right? Like just general people.
Like us.
Like us. Hey. What's up? How you doing? Hey.
Scarto.
Scarto, for example. But like TK, EE. Basically, if you're a known face in the community, so I've said this for a very, very long time, but the way we know that Smash is truly growing and getting and popping off is if we have, like basically someone outside of the main circle of people rise up as like a streamer, because it's kind of like, so there's an old phrase, I think it's Carmack from ESL who said it, who said the sign of a healthy esport is when you see a rotation of faces, like basically a new blood. You see new blood, and he means that at all levels. So like players, right? Like I can say our game is healthy because we're talking about guys like Squeeze Light and Wizrobe, and they're straight up making waves, and that's just a fact, right? Yeah. See guys like Leffen, and they've made waves, and sure it's over an extended period of time, but those are real waves. same with the TO scene. We're seeing new TOs crop up everywhere, right? I think in stream game, we'll know if we're a healthy game in terms of as a stream game if we can get someone like that. So it's very to answer the question directly. How do you get it bigger? I think, dude, it's got to be quality. There's I still look at like the lower directory of Smash, and most of them seem to be only streaming because they want to get it recorded so they can analyze their gameplay later.
Yeah.
Right? Because Twitch VODs are like one of the easiest ways to record your own gameplay without having to store it on a hard drive.
Or if you want a case study, watch Mango's stream and watch like Armada or Muta King stream and tell me why people would be more attracted to Mango's.
Yeah.
There are many. You could write a paper on it. And it would probably
Right.
really-
And I think like Armada did a tweet about it like sometime last week that, hey, that's really frustrating that, you know, my stream, you know, it's not picking up. It's not like he wants it to be bigger, but I think he absolutely can. I think he's a great guy. He's funny. He's awesome in many ways. You just got to find the right content and right medium. It's like Hugs, right? Hugs was struggling. He was like below 100 viewers for forever.
Yeah. And
now he's at like 600, 700 viewers because he changed his style up, started making the content that people want more. So a lot of it's content style. A lot of it's knowing how to add your personality in at the right time and like interact with your viewers and things like that. Effectively, it's making content that people want to watch. It's that simple, right?
Because like go to a stream and you'll probably like know within like 5 seconds like why do I like this stream or why do I not want to watch the stream. And chances are your notions largely will agree with the general sentiment of Twitch.
Right. I also think sometimes it's not even just quantity. Sometimes quantity is the number one thing that helps, but also like making it an event and making people really want to watch. So that helps too.
Is there anything related to Melee that used to exist that for some reason doesn't exist anymore and you want it to return? I got one.
I got like 50, but continue.
Right. This is kind of hard, but I would like there to be game audio Melee when there's no good commentators for the match. Sometimes, you know, I like to use it just to commentate it myself for practice, or just because I want to intake Melee without other noise. But I still want the game sounds.
That's not a bad one. People have been mentioning that for a bit. I think that so I got a few. We've been experimenting with amateur bracket formats at locals. I think sometime like last year we saw it more. There's still a few reasons I do it. I actually think it's now, having seen what it does firsthand, amateur brackets can help keep people in the room later on. You can have little fun stuff. I think that's good. I think I want to see mute commentary would be sick. Okay, yeah. So what else? Actually, maybe I don't have 50. We do a lot of ideas that we had in the past. Huh.
Let's see. I like the tradition of. I know that we want to long term go into like every match is streamed, even if it's on multi channels. But yeah. I like the fact that like the older tournaments had like all the top 32 or top 64 archived somehow, like video, and that's something we don't do very consistently anymore.
On VOD, yeah. I mean, people use Twitch VODs more and more now.
But like I want some sort of VOD for each of the match, like whether it's on Twitch.
Yeah. Oh, let me tell. Okay, I have my answer. This is a godlike answer.
Okay.
Record keeping of our own growth. So one thing we used to do is the year in review, right, where we basically had good attendance data of our own growth. We have no idea how big we are right now. Like we could be declining, we could be increasing. We don't really know.
Don't you have the data?
I have viewership data. But like in terms of attendance data, it's very difficult. Like best thing we have is Smash GG, and that doesn't have all the tournaments because it's still a closed system. Like you can't just make a new tournament on Smash GG right now. So we don't really capture everything. We don't know how many 100+ events have happened this year compared to last year. For example, we don't know how many 200+ events have happened this year compared to last year, and that's data we used to monitor every single year.
We need a Judy. Was it Justin Fairbanks does it for Smash 4?
Does he? Well, that's good. But that is really important to me. I think that being able to see, like, hey, in the last 6 months we had this many 100 pluses versus the 6 months before it. That's really important to know. Like attendance.
Well, you'd have to
It's
compare
the other like viewership and attendance. Those are the two major metrics, right?
you'd have to compare like March to March, like
Yeah, of course, right? Like you to the last year. Yeah, I think that is something that we should. It'd be really nice if we did it. It's just gotten so sprawling that, and the people who are managing it, me and Joga used to manage it for Melee. We're not doing it anymore. That would help.
I'm pretty sure we could crowdsource it.
Maybe, if someone wants to be the homie, that would actually help Smash a lot, in my opinion.
I mean, what I could do,
And they wouldn't have to do that much. Okay, to catch up on data would be really hard, but just honestly, just starting now and doing it from now onward would be good too.
I think well, I mean, the good news is that I can instantaneously upload all the Smash GG tournament data in one click.
It's true.
So that's exciting. So good news, I uploaded 12,000 sets to Smash GG to Tafo Stats in like less than a week.
Shoutouts to Tafos.
To context, up to this point, I only had 3.1k sets in the database.
By the way, I'm surprised. Maybe you could do a call to action of like some developer in the scene, somebody to help you with that. Like you shouldn't be the only one working on it at this point. Like it's too useful of a resource.
I am talking to somebody. That's why I put a call to action last week.
Oh, you did? Okay, well I missed that.
Yeah, so I have to drop the requirements and everything. I've been kind of going bare bones on it, like where like I can only do as much as I can because I'm not full time on it. Because like I have to create content and do other stuff, but I am working on hiring somebody.
That'd be sick.
Does the Midwest have a chance to surpass the East and West Coast anytime in the near future? More and more locals are popping up, but they lack top level skill.
Answer is no.
I think it's where. A case where if your base level, like if you guys are both like exponentially growing, but the other guy's base is higher at a given point in time, like you're just never gonna catch up.
I think they can catch up, but it would require two major things to happen. One, they would need to get more. A god like TO would have to spring up, right?
Well, they said they have good TOs.
They do have good TOs. Vro has been doing really good. Joga, of course, in Michigan's been doing well. Though honestly, he hasn't been hosting anything since Big House. He only does Big House at this point.
He helps with Sweet.
He helps with it, but it's like a lot of Gamero, it's a lot of Beach, a lot of those other guys have been doing a ton of work there. So shout outs to them. So that the events are good. They need to get even better, and the way they need to get better is their stream quality needs to get better by a large margin. I think it's hard for players in the Midwest to set goals for themselves. I don't know what they're fighting for. Probably just interstate rankings, and I don't think that's aspirational enough
especially
to become best in the world.
Especially when your best players are like not really active. Shouts to Kels.
Yeah.
And like Dart is kind of hot and cold.
Right. So like like if you're trying to be the best in Chicago, Illinois, whatever.
Sorry, Duck is also there, but
like you're trying to become better than who? You're trying to become better than Kels and Dart. Those guys barely go to stuff, right?
Yeah.
For their own life reasons. Shouts to them. But like that, I don't think that's an aspirational enough goal. So basically, those TOs need to really focus on how to make a storyline for their local scene and make it so that their players have goals, right? Like that's ultimately the very core fundamental of TOing is finding how to make goals for every level of player, right?
When I see like the Midwest and I don't talk about like I mentioned like everybody that's like not really Duck, I feel like they're like a region that's like 5 months behind what New England is doing now.
Sometimes, right?
Yeah. Like in terms of like player growth and development.
Yeah, so New England's doing it right in many ways. So I like what they're doing by setting a lot of those goals. Like they're emphasizing TMG. They're making like mini circuits for their players to be like, hey, this is how you make goals for yourself within the region and outside the region. They could do even more by like doing stuff like, hey, if you win this tournament, you get a flight to a major. So then you have cross regional. Like there's a lot you can do as a TO to set aspirations for your players, and I think Midwest needs to do that. It would help. Their TOs are generally good, but the question was relatively soon. Usually, the effects of those kind of programs take like 2 years. So, 1 to 2 years, right? So,
in the grand scheme of things, it's not that long. In the Melee universe, that is very long.
Right. So, anytime soon, answer is no. But long term, sure, why not, dude? Like, Chicago's a big metropolitan area. Detroit's a big metropolitan area. They definitely have the people for it. Their attendance is fine. They just need to be able to do a lot of like the advanced tech, basically, of community organization to basically breed the players they need to have.
Breed.
Breed them. You gotta breed them, dude.
All right. Question for me: with the growth of Melee, specifically with sponsors, can I ever see myself quitting NASA to fully commit to providing content for Melee? Melee, maybe like a Thorin. Unfortunately, no. I look at the ceiling in terms of monetization, and I can only see myself making at most maybe $30,000 a year, which, given my student loan situation and wanting to get married, I don't think that's very reasonable.
It's not fair to Vicky.
It's not fair to Vicky. Shouts to her. I've always thought that if there's a kind of content creation company that also does engineering work and programming or data,
Does that exist?
Yahoo Esports might do that.
Hey, there you go.
Like if I could get into a hybrid role where like I'm growing the esport content stream for like a website, and I'm able to also produce content, then I think that's a magic niche for me where I get the best of every world.
Mm-hmm.
How much longer until Melee is on TV? E-League is proving that esports is legit. My guess for Smash on TV is probably 2 to 4 years. We'll probably say it would be significantly longer if it were ever to happen.
I don't know. I don't think it's very important. If it does happen, it doesn't happen. It's like, it'd be kind of cool, I guess. But if you look at Counter-Strike, like it's nice, it's cool. E-League is dope, but it's just one of their leagues, and the viewership on Twitch versus TV, who knows what's bigger, because TV doesn't have a little viewer number next to it.
Oh, there's a guy that actually has been making a really good report on it.
Yeah, Manny, right?
Yes.
Manny's stuff is really good. But
they're hitting like 170K, which honestly is not that good.
Which, like, is comparable to Twitch numbers sometimes. so when you think about it like that, it's like, sure, it'd be nice, but it would, like, nowadays you just have a lot of people like in this chat who'd be unable to watch because they don't have cable. I don't have cable. Yeah. And so I feel like it would maybe lower our scope to a global audience. I'm not sure how much look, I wouldn't push back against it. I think it'd be great for Smash's growth in many ways. If it's just another tournament, another thing.
If we had to do it internally, I would say that it's really hard because the conclusions he got was that on Twitch, you could be a successful streamer on like maybe a grand of production values.
Yeah.
But like to increase it to TV levels where you're only doing 10 to 20x, you're paying 1,000x more, and so it's really hard to justify the cost to be on TV, because the production values, the people you have to hire, makes it 1,000-fold more expensive than what you would.
Yeah. So the true answer is our monetization would be way better, but not really. Like it's not like E-League is making Turner much money, right? Yeah. It can't be, right?
Well, the viewership, our production values would cost a lot more.
Yeah, but it's more possible now because it's happening in other esports.
Yeah.
They have a studio, right? They could, instead of, they built most of their startup costs is their studio, right?
Yeah. And
Smash is unique because, hey, they don't have to have a freaking multi-million-dollar prize pool for us. Well, we're kind of cool with 10K actually. 10K would be nice, so let's say they take their studio out, the prize pool costs go down. It's possible, right? Like they could do it. I don't see why not. So, I don't think they would right now because our viewership potential doesn't meet those other esports.
Of course not.
So yes, we just have to get way bigger. So that might take some time.
If there could be a mini documentary on Melee, what would be an interesting topic? There has been sandboxes, which encompasses all of Melee. There has been 60 frames, which explain the different levels of play and the mindsets. Would a documentary on a region be interesting?
Region is interesting. I like the region idea. Like, hey, here is the history of NorCal, SoCal, whatever. That's cool to build the storyline there. I still say that the hidden OP doc opportunity is of either a commentator or a player and seeing their rise. Like, what's the story of D1 and like how did he go from step 1 to like get way bigger and be seen on everywhere? What's the story of Matt.Zeb and what he's done with his community? Like those are super cool stories to me that aren't captured right now. So
yeah,
I think those are the two.
And D1 struggled before he got to Twitch, man.
Yeah, he had a decade of hosting tournaments with no one watching, or of commentating events with no one watching
on his own dime too.
Right. So like a lot of the if you go on YouTube and you look at like a lot of the viewership numbers, they're so misleading because all those views came in the last like 3 years. But like those videos had like 1,000 views, like straight up. So you'll look and click on a video that's like Mewtwo King versus PP from a tournament in 2010, right? And you'll see it have 300K views now. Well, actually, before we blew up in 2013, that video probably had 2,000 views or 3,000 views. So, yeah, it was a different time. Nodell says, "What is the story of G Money's crowd legacy?" That's a documentary to watch, dude.
All right, let's kind of blitz through it because the questions are going faster than we can answer. What advice would you give to Armada for growing his stream, given his challenges living in Europe, etc.?
My advice would be to own his time slot and be consistent. That's my number one advice. Melee doesn't exist on many time slots, right? We're not very smart about this in the sense that we stream this show on the most packed time possible, right? Thursday on prime time is super packed, which is probably why our VOD viewership is way higher than our stream viewership.
Yeah.
Some of our VODs get 10K views. This show gets like 200 views on stream, right? 200 to 500, somewhere around there. We'll fluctuate. We're coming up, but like your time slot matters a lot, right? And Armada, he might look at it and be like, hey, if I go into more prime time, short term, he'd have 100, maybe 150 more viewers than he would have if he did the European time zone.
Yeah.
But having seen this happen in so many other esports, if he just owned the European hours and became the thing for the European viewers, then the European viewers would become sticky to his stream. They would really that would be the thing they do. It would become a habit for them to watch a stream. Versus right now, someone who's a Smash viewer on Twitch goes into prime time with Smash. They have an option of choosing between like 10 things. They could choose Armada. They could choose someone else. They could choose a tournament. They could choose Mango. They could choose us. They could choose whatever they want, right? And competing against that consistently is way harder than owning a time slot and growing organically off there. I think he would take the hit because the natural viewer base is not accustomed to watching Melee at 4 a.m. PST, which is like the European times. But long term, they would, and he would long term grow off of it. And that's what many other streamers in other games took advantage of over time, right? Like they filled in the time slots. So so I think that is my major suggestion. I don't know if he's been really consistent with his times. And also, probably format stuff. He needs to invite more people over.
He needs to interact with the stream more.
Stop playing against CPU Falcon, like the things we've talked about.
Yeah.
Do more with it, man. You're a smart guy. You're a funny guy.
Why did we effectively have nothing between Gommel and Smash and Splash, but now we have 4 things next weekend? Poor communication.
So full transparency, I run the calendar for Smash. So I basically coordinate all tournaments and make sure no one's conflicting on weekends. Make sure everyone is okay on the right side of things. Basically, managing the announced and unannounced events here into the future. Like right now, I'm doing 2017 planning for the most part. Pretty much every TO talks to me. Those TOs do talk to me. But DreamHack in particular, they can't particularly move their dates because they're a major convention, so they're in a stuck spot. Apex actually moved its date without telling me. They did tell me they were going to make a new date, but they kind of just did that one, and that was on LTC weekend, and I was like, guys, what the hell? So that does happen sometimes. So whatever, they picked a booked weekend, but for the most part, considering how many events we have, I think we've done generally a good job. There have been a few conflicts. Like, I take full responsibility for the Summit and Tipped Off being on the same weekend. But there's also other, honestly, it could be a lot worse because there's considering how many events we have, we've still kept it relatively different. We're gonna have weekends like this, frankly. I'm not sure how much these conflicts actually matter because I don't think Apex's crowd, at least this year, is the same as LTC's crowd, is the same as DreamHack's crowd.
Yeah.
DreamHack is a European event. LTC is going to get more West and South players, and Apex is basically a local, let's be real, for Melee at least. So I'm not sure how much it matters in that respect. I do think it matters for Smash 4 for Apex, at least how it turned out. it's hard for someone like me to make that evaluation because I frankly didn't know how big Apex was going to be this year. It could have been a 100-man event as far as I was concerned. So I don't know if I'd be comfortable telling someone like an LTC, hey, avoid this weekend, blah blah blah, or another event organizer, because I'm not really sure if it's anything more than local.
Yeah, and we can only speculate, right? And that's like the big conundrum.
Yeah. So we do our best, and all the TOs seem like they're cool. They're all going to be really good events. So weekends like this are going to happen, but for the most part, we try to space it out.
All right. Harrison Barnes. Yeah, I hate him. I don't hate him. I think he's overvalued, and I would never give him a max contract. He went 0v today. I'm really mad. All right, we're going to move on. I know that as a community, Melee prides itself in being on the more welcoming and accepting of people and different ideas and culture, but there seems to be a certain bias and stigma that large groups of our community hold, like making jokes about Muti King's autism or racial slurs at AMSA. Your take?
People do that?
Yeah, I wasn't aware.
They do that, dude? If they do that,
okay,
call them out for it and tell them they're assholes.
All right, so for AMSA,
they do that? That's so effed up.
I'm really surprised if that's the case, because in person, I've hung out with AMSA during extended times where I've seen fan interactions and I've seen people interact. And
people love AMSA.
I've never really seen. I mean, I guess if you want to make the pray to win joke or whatever, because
that's not. That's not. I mean,
kind of is with the LNR, but I don't really think they regularly racially slur him. Muti King's autism, yeah, I know it's like a Melee hell thing to like bring up autism, and I think a lot of people are like, oh, this guy's like autistic.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think for me personally, like I kind of refrain from it, and I do kind of like if somebody goes over the top in a conversation, I'm just like, oh, like I just kind of go like, hey, like why? I noticed that you use autistic like every other sentence, like, and then that's more than enough to like get a person to start thinking like, oh, like hey, like I am using it a lot.
I mean, yeah, there's not nice. Look, we're too big at the moment to not to not have some bad apples. But I think I wouldn't paint it with a broad brush to say that people do that.
I don't think a large portion does.
I don't think they do. At least I hope not. Those guys, AMSA and Muti King, would know better than us because we don't deal with the interaction as directly as they do. But I haven't gotten that impression. For the most part, those guys seem very loved to me.
Yeah.
Because I love them. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but at least I love those guys. I'm not representative of everyone, but
yeah.
I love them.
I think very, like, if you look at in-person interactions, like, I very rarely would see that. I don't think I ever have, like, targeted at Muti King. Like,
no, I can't think of anything.
I can't think of anything either. I know that the online community, I know that Twitch chat, I know Reddit, I know, like, the general online community that does exist.
And by the way, that's not necessarily the Smash community. And I say this before you guys freak out in a way to say that, like, a lot of the people who post on Reddit are just, or people who post on Twitch chat or whatever, like, when the game becomes so mainstream and so common, they could just be random dude on the internet writing his opinion. It's like a YouTube comment. Like,
yeah.
I don't know if I would call someone in that context necessarily a part of the Smash community. They could not even watch the game.
Yeah.
They could not even watch the event, and they could just have stumbled upon a thread
and see an image.
And see an image and make a comment. Like, dude, it's the internet. It's like I don't know. I don't know what the line is for what is and isn't the Smash community, but I'm not going to go and say any comment ever made about a Smash personality is necessarily made by the Smash community, right? And therefore, I'm not going to go and say that those comments are necessarily made by Smash community members. Like, I don't know.
And because, like, yeah, my brother could make an account and call somebody an autistic guy. Like, you could go.
Your brother's not in the Smash community, right? He doesn't
yeah, but like, you can't lump him in that. Like, he doesn't even care about Melee.
Yeah. So, like, dude, it's a widespread consumption that naturally causes problems.
Yeah.
This is the internet thing.
Let's see. Some of these I'm skipping.
Okay.
If you had to rank them after Smash and Splash, Duck or Swedish Delight higher in the global rank, who had a better... Swedish.
Continue.
Alright. Well, top-level mid-tier mains continue to win matchups that are considered to be bad matchups. What is the tipping point where they have to pick a better character?
What counts as a mid-tier?
I would say everybody below... everyone not in the top 8. So like starting with like Samus and Pikachu. I know you think Pikachu's.
I think Pikachu's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm a nutcase though.
So like
I like when I hear mid tier, I usually think below Pikachu, or where people below like not Pikachu, Samus, Ice Climbers, the people things below that. But maybe I'm wrong. I usually think of like Mario and Doc and things like that. Maybe people see it wrong. If you think of mid tier as Falcon, Ices, Pikachu, Samus.
well, like they're saying they specified by saying Duck X, like so like
Okay.
Samus, yeah.
So, I think Pikachu's amazing. So Axe versus they're pointing at Axe versus Fox and Falco. I don't think that's a fluke. I think he's been around long enough to know that we know that maybe that matchup's not that bad, guys.
I mean, he goes pretty well with Lucky. I know he's 1-3 right now, but like he's been pretty consistent against like all the Foxes, and Mango, Leffen, those Foxes. Like frankly, they're just better players. So like it's
someone just called me a red M&M. That's so funny. Dude, can we mod that guy? That guy is so funny.
Why are you a red M&M?
I don't know. That's so funny. I don't know. I like that. I like being a red M&M. That guy's funny.
Where are Marths headed in 2016?
Huh? Where what's headed?
Marths.
It's been looking like we're headed down, but
can you guys beat Falcon?
No, apparently we can't, dude. So PPMD, we haven't seen him for a while. Mewtwo still really good, but he uses a lot of characters, so it's hard to take his results.
And it's really hard to use him as an example because Mewtwo only plays Marth against certain characters.
Right,
like
on certain stages.
We're not going to see his Marth against Samus or like Pikachu or anything.
Puff or whatever.
Or like the Mario characters.
Yeah, exactly. So, Pew Pew has been declining pretty hard. Moon had a slump to start the year. He did okay at Gommel. So it looks like we're going down. But I have faith that despite all the data, very irrationally, Marth's on the comeback.
So
all of our players may be sucking right now, and we may all be losing.
I think sucking is an understatement right now.
Despite having the best character in the game, we are losing very badly. But I mean, it can't get any worse than this, right? Like, I mean,
where Mango's like
as good as Marth is as a character, it can't get any worse than this, right?
Where like Mango and Drug Fox might be the second and third best Marths in the world.
Don't say Drug Fox is not the third best Marth in the world. Come on, give Kevin Toy some credit. Come on. 2LE Max says Prime Blur only hope Craigasm. I agree, 2LE Max, but I'm in chain still, so I gotta hold myself back.
Is there any
maybe Mango Marth?
Is there any way for Mewtwo to feasibly move back into the top echelon of players by the end of the summer?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean he could. I mean if he didn't like enter 6 events every.
His results in the last 5 months haven't been that bad. Sure, Smash Splash, we just talked about it. But
I mean, I think he's referring to like Hungrybox, Mango, Leffen.
Yeah, I think it's possible. What I mean is that it hasn't been that bad that if he went on a streak of 2-3 tournaments, like if Mewtwo wins Evo, he's in that tier. Now he's very likely not winning Evo.
Okay, well,
he's very low percentage chance. But like, dude, he's capable. He's beating all the players that he has to beat.
I'll give you 24-1.
No.
49-1.
I'm not taking any bet, dude.
You're not taking 49-1.
No.
You're $1.
I'm just gonna lose $1.
What?
I'm not trying to lose $1. But
you would not.
Would you take 49-1?
I would just do it.
Why? You just want to give me $1? Is that your point? Is that like?
I would do it right now.
Look, that's the kind of bet that I wouldn't do on either side. Because for me, I don't want your dollar bad enough to potentially lose 49. Right? That's a lot of money.
Would you want $10?
10-1?
No, not 10-1.
Huh?
My 10, you're 490.
Whoa! Whoa! I'm definitely not doing that. I'm not trying to lose $409, dude. I came from the streets. Where do you think I came from?
No, you came from your parents' peanut farm.
That's Walnut Farm.
Walmart. Walmart.
Dude, jeez. So,
I mean, he could, but like the circumstances and the choices that he puts himself in outside the tournament are not very conducive to him succeeding in Melee.
No. So look, the answer is it's incredibly unlikely, but don't take Mewtwo King's tweets as gospel. He has done those same type. That's been his mentality for like 3 years, and sometimes he wins regardless, man.
And if he wins, then he goes like, "Oh, like I'm gonna stick to playing Melee for a while."
Yeah.
I mean, you can literally have a spinner and easily just pick out what his tweet is gonna be based on whether or not
so
he
like,
wins
dude, don't read too much into it. That guy has too much skill to doubt. He could beat Leffen. He could beat Armada. He could now that he's done it in Summon, and he could beat Mango. And okay, he's gonna have a hard time with H-Box, but
Wait, do you guys really sell 50% of the walnuts in the USA?
50%. I don't think the number's 50%. But
if you even
we have the biggest walnut farm in the world. We do the largest distribution. So whatever the percent. Look, all I'm trying to say is you have had my nuts in your mouth at one point in your life. And in fact, this entire stream has. You have all had my nuts in your mouth. How's that?
Your parents' nuts. That doesn't really make you much better.
Also, my parents. I've had my parents' nuts in my mouth. If you really think about it, that's kind of weird.
I'm never supporting walnuts ever again.
Dude.
All right. Should we do the top 15 in no particular order? You guys will get something on Monday.
Yeah, chill out. That's too much work.
Yeah. All right. Tafo and Blur. I would like both opinions on this. What's your opinion of 20xxTE being ran in tournaments? My locals are taking it on due to the success at SN2. How much, if at all, does it affect the game? Mainly frozen stages and removal of certain aspects like Shy Guys and Wispy the Trick.
Okay, so I've been a hardliner on this for a long time. I still say that I'm not in favor of it. I think it's a barrier to entry for people. God, everyone's just talking about my nuts now. Dude, Chesp is. Can we mod him? I love this guy. This guy is so funny. Anyway, yeah, dude, I think it's a barrier to entry. I don't want people to have to go to buy memory cards to mod their systems. It's already hard enough, man. Like I just don't. I don't like it. Maybe I'm traditionalist. Maybe I'm stuck in the past. But I just don't think there's anything additive enough that matters enough that we should make that kind of a widespread change.
Yeah.
It's not good. Like it's just not radical enough of a change to warrant this much work.
Yeah.
I don't think Frozen Stadium is worth all this.
I agree. All right. Will you guys have guests on the show with any frequency, or is it more of a spur in the moment thing?
I don't know, dude. Are we?
Well, the Mango one. So I went to Mango's place and he wanted to be on the show. A week before, so I thought it would be good to have him. I think if they fit the context of what we're talking about, I think it'd be good. Let's say Mango won an event and wanted to talk about it. I think it'd be good.
It'd be cool. I think it helps on off weeks, like the occasional weeks where there's not much going on. The summer's not going to have much of that, but yeah, having a guest is always cool.
Yeah.
I think we'll figure it out, right?
Yeah.
I have a lot of things I want to do with the format of this show, but for the most part, I want to focus on being consistent to number one.
Yeah.
I don't. As long as we don't miss a week, I feel like we're doing our job.
Yeah.
That's my general thing. We're gonna keep getting better, obviously, and we're gonna think of new things, formats and stuff, but not missing a week is the most important thing.
I think so. And we've done it 6 weeks in a row. Next week we'll probably do Wednesday because we'll be at CEO. Other than that, let's see. Speaking of consistency, should I tell them about the announcement?
What's the announcement? This depends. What's the announcement? I don't know. There's a lot of things are announced. Huh?
Monday? I told you about this earlier, remember?
What's Monday? There's a lot of things going on in my life, dude.
What normally happens on Monday? Twitch.
Just tell me in my ear. What's going on? Oh, yeah, that's fine. You can announce that. Whatever. Jeez, Jesus Christ. I thought it was a way bigger announcement. Okay.
All right. So I'll be on the Scar and Toph show on Monday. So I'll be flying out to NorCal, and I will be on the show with Scar and Toph.
Sick.
So I'm excited.
Sick. Are you? When's your? When are you leaving?
NorCal?
Yeah.
I'm like leaving next morning at like 6:30.
You just stayed one more day. We could have done a Tuesday show in person. We could have 2 weeks in person. That would be crazy.
We could have,
What do you think about that?
but I can't. I am stuck for overtime on Tuesday.
Oh my god, you're gonna go to work?
Yeah.
That's nuts. Okay, yeah, but so you're gonna be on Scar and Toe show. That's sick.
So
That's sick.
that's pretty sick. And so, confirmed G4 accidentally on his stream. I mean, I don't think that's terribly surprising that they would announce a G4, or that a G4 will happen.
Genesis 4 is gonna happen, guys.
Yeah. Oh, the newsflash: Big House 7 will happen too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big House 8 will probably happen too.
Big House 9.
Oh, Craigasm.
Craigasm.
Big House 9, Craigasm, guys. EO 2017. You heard it here first.
Awesome. Alrighty. So that concludes this week's show.
There's no other questions? Good.
Oh, we can answer a few more, but it's already 11.
One more question.
Flop
for the
on the
fans.
no, I'm not. Okay.
I want to answer this one quite quickly. Is there any way for Evo to have best of 5 this year? Probably not, but I'm mad about it. Continue.
Some of these are just not interesting. I mean, you can find one that we haven't answered.
Let me find one.
General philosophy on panels, it takes a really long time. There's some guy that asked me if I could do a panel once a month. That takes way too much bugging people, and people get tired of it, and people aren't responsive, so it's really stressful for me to compile everything.
So we can answer this. Zoo is coming back to Smash competition, and Shizwiz is out of jail and beasting on Netplay. Thoughts on their return and Pro Falcos? Dude, I feel like Shiz's style is too old to do well anymore. I'm just gonna be real. It'll be tight though. And Zoo, I'm rooting for him, but he's got a lot on his plate right now in terms of real life. So
yeah, I don't really.
So I don't see it either. Anyway, I think we should wrap it up. That was good. Have you ate yet? Try to eat.
I did eat, but all right.
We go to KBQ.
Dude,
I got dreams too.
I have work at 6:30, man.